Welcome to the Mario Matter, the #1 Nintendo podcast.
Folks, we have made it to episode 200 of this very podcast. We have so many fun themed segments today. Let's go ahead and not waste your time and get into those. Welcome on into the Mario Matter, folks. I'm your host, Nintendo Switch 2 YouTuber EmSwizzle, episode 200. When I circled this date on my calendar, the date that I'd be posting this podcast, it felt like so far away. Now it's actually here. Time definitely flies, I can tell you that. We have planned so many fun segments. I have confetti poppers in hand, lights going all behind me in our podcast set. So much to look forward to today. What is on today's show? I'm sure everyone's wanted to know. What is on today's show? You clicked on this podcast. There was one thing in the title, but we have a lot more to get to outside of that. First things first, we are doing what the title says. I'll be ranking every single Nintendo console. A lot of people want to know where I stand on this topic and how I rate certain consoles. And, you know, Nintendo has a lot of consoles in their lifespan, so we're going to rank all of those from A to D. Also, we have Nintendo news per usual. There's a lot to go over there. Then we have a very fun segment that I've wanted to do for so long, but there was no excuse to, which is the Mario Matter Awards. I have 5 award categories to give out to certain episodes of this podcast, certain guests who have been on this podcast. For example, these are not our awards, but like funniest guest or something like that. Our actual awards are most knowledgeable Nintendo guest who has been on this podcast, most passionate Nintendo fan, the best overall episode, objectively, like anybody could enjoy it. It is the best episode of this podcast. My favorite episode, my personal favorite, and then also our worst episode that we've ever done. Those are all coming up on the Mario Matter Awards show. After that, we have a segment where I will be essentially doing a time capsule. And what that means is I'm going to make predictions of certain things that I think will happen between this episode 200 and episode 300. And then on episode 300, we will look back and see, did these things happen? I have like 10 predictions. Some have to do with world events. Some have to do with Nintendo themselves. We have a lot to predict. And then on the next episode 300 in 2 years or so, we'll see if they all came true. And then finally, at the end of all of that, we have the Q&A segment, folks, the question block segment. But not just the question block segment. I'm going to read an answer. In honor of episode 200, I'm going to answer 200 questions of your guys' submitted questions. That's how you word that sentence. I will be answering 200 questions. So if you submitted a question, I can't guarantee that you'll get an answer because we've had like 800 questions submitted. But there's like a 1 in 4 chance is the math. The math is mathing. There's like a 1 in 4 chance that your question was answered. So do stick around. Do listen in. It's going to be an amazing time. And I have this confetti popper in my hand. I figure I just should let it go. So we're going in order of what I just said. That would mean we're going to be ranking every Nintendo console on a tier list to kick off this podcast. Let's go ahead. Pop the confetti. Episode 200. Let's get to our first segment, ranking every Nintendo console now. Fun fact, while my buddy Alonzo and I were cleaning up the confetti in this room from that party popper I just blew off, we found one piece of confetti from episode 100. How I never caught that is shocking to me. Months after episode 100, I was still finding confetti. I just found a hidden piece of confetti from the one that I just blew off in my light right here. Okay, gosh. There are so many hidden pieces. If you see one behind me, comment down below, because they're going to be hidden for months now. I will keep finding them slowly. Anywho, piece of confetti right here from episode 100. We should frame that in a museum or something. Anywho, let's get to this fun topic. I've wanted to do all of these things on this podcast for so long. Now I have an excuse to, because it is a milestone number. But for those who come here for the routine episode, you are still getting that. You're getting the news segment, Q&A. It's all a good time. So, ranking every Nintendo console. I have never done this, at least not on YouTube. Maybe when I was like 9, I went on sites and ranked them myself, not having played most of them. But we are going to put this on the record, officially ranking each console, going decently in chronological order. Not everything here will be in chronological order, because the way that Nintendo released consoles, like one Game Boy would release in 1990 something, then there's one that releases in 2001. In the middle of that, there's a GameCube, there's a N64 is what I meant. I apologize. Like there's so many weird, not put together releases. I have it in decent chronological order. Like I put all the Game Boys together, even though one came out in the 90s, one came out in the 2000s. Like they're spread out, but in this tier list, the order that I will be going, they are all put together. All the DSs are together, all the 3DSs are together, even though there were some releases in between all of those. Anywho, you get the point. I will still be ranking every console. The only things I took off of this list that I will not be ranking are some of the Game Boys I've not played. So like the Game Boy Light thing and Game Boy, it's called Pocket, right? I just haven't played those, so I figured I'd get them out of the way and just put them in the never played category. The NES Classic, like I don't think is worth ranking. It's not a Nintendo console, it's just NES games, which we'll rank in the actual NES segment anyway. Some of like the Pokewalker stuff, the Game & Watch Anniversary Edition, like we don't need to rank those things. So I put those aside. Let's get to the, what do they call it? The meat and potatoes, and let's get into ranking each console. All right, starting in decent chronological order, we're beginning with the Color TV Game 6. Now, there are a few variations of this console here. Different colors, slightly different formats of it. But the gist of this console, I've played it on my YouTube video. I've played 100 Years of Nintendo. On that video, I played the Color TV Game 6, and it's essentially a console that can only play Pong. You know, like ping pong was a real smash hit back in the day. And on the console, you know, for the controller, there are these two rotatable dials, and that's how you control your ping pong paddle on the game. So it's essentially ping pong. This is Nintendo's first gaming console, and I think for its time, I believe this came out in the 70s. I mean, it sounds cool because like back then, you don't have like robust arcade games like Donkey Kong and, you know, whatever else was out, Space Invaders, if you want to call it that. So like to have a thing of ping pong electronically in your home, I didn't live it. I'm just saying like it must have been cool, right? So what am I ranking these things on? For their time? For how they are today? Because, like, for their time, I'm sure these were all great, but I didn't live a lot of these. So let's just go off of gut feeling, because nothing is better than gut feeling in this life. If you have a gut feeling on something, it's probably right. So where does my gut want to put this? Like, I guess when I say gut, I'm saying, like, a combination of, like, for its time and how I personally feel about it, and, like, is it a really cool thing? I think Color TV Game 6, although you probably wouldn't have fun with it today for too long, as you would like the Switch or even, you know, a Wii or something, you couldn't play this for more than an hour. But I think I would still go. I think I'm going to put the Color TV Game Pong game in B tier, and here's why. I think for what it is, like even just talking about build quality on this console is pretty solid. Takes a few batteries, the dials are nice, it's responsive. There are also on this console a few different modes of ping pong that you can play. So it wasn't like they just phoned in this console, Nintendo did. No, like they put some adjustable things on it and like ways to make the game harder and all sorts of little adjustments to your ping pong game, even though it was just one game. So they definitely put work into it, effort into it, and I think for 1970, although I didn't live it, you know, that would be a fun thing to have in your home, and I think it's a solid unit for their first ever gaming console. I go B tier. The only way that it could have gone higher, because I love to say that, is if they added like a second game or something, you know, to keep people entertained. But aside from that, Color TV Game 6 gets a B tier. Let's move on to the NES. The NES, the NES, the NES. So this must have been game-changing. 1980s, you have your NES. If you thought having ping pong in your home was cool, having the NES, having Mario Bros, having Duck Hunt, having Donkey Kong, having all this stuff in your home with color, with real controllers, like this must have been quite the step up. It's essentially having an arcade machine in your home. Once again, not trying to act like I lived through this era. I just, I just know what the console did and how it worked, and what a step up it was from the Color TV Game 6. And so my experience being almost 20 today with the NES has been brief but insightful. I think I see the appeal of how cool that must have been in the 1980s. However, I also see lots of faults that I'm not even trying to fault the console for, because it was a 1980s console. But like so many times, like I've used several NESs in my lifetime. I don't know what it is, bro. How come? And this was a problem back then. It's a problem today. How was this not like fixed in a new edition of the NES? Like, how come every time that I put in a cartridge, I gotta take it out and put it back in? Like, they would never work first try. I mean, even like the Game Boy had this problem. I don't know. That's my only problem. Like, if I'm using the NES for a YouTube video, which by the way, we are soon, I have to like take out the cartridge and put it back in several times. Just annoying. But I think anybody who lived the NES era who's hearing me say this would laugh at me, because like that is not a huge problem. I'm just saying, like, nowadays my experience with it, that's my gripe. I'm like, why does this not work right away? Because I'm so used to like, oh, you pop in a Switch cartridge and it loads up, or you pop in a Wii disc and it loads. Like, my generation is so used to that I look at this console and I'm like, I hate that, So that's how I see the NES. Otherwise, I mean, for the time, obviously, phenomenal games for that console. Lots to have fun with, and a lot of options also. There's a ton of NES games, and what's also cool about it is nowadays that we have the technology, people make their own NES games and can like make their own cartridge, and yeah, I mean like make their own game. And like, although it's unofficial, they can do it. The NES is very cool and was a big pioneer for Nintendo gaming. So I'm going to put the NES. I mean, I think it gets an A tier if we're judging it all time. Does it? Or do we go high B? I don't really know what it could have done better, but I want to put it in A tier. I think that's where I'll throw it. Cool. Alrighty. A tier. I feel now I'm having second thoughts. I want to go high B. Because, like, bro, our next console, the SNES, I think is better. Because if you have a console called the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES, and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, which one do you think is better? Like, there's no possible way that we could put the SNES lower than the NES. That's like putting the Switch 1 over the Switch 2. Like, how? I mean, unless you're ranking it solely off the games, which even then, you don't have that big of an argument. It doesn't go above it. So, SNES. We're playing with superpower. That was the slogan. Now you're playing with power. Superpower. It's an NES, but better graphics. It's an overall improvement. It's kind of like, well, I shouldn't compare. It was drastically different. I mean, if you look at Mario on the NES, you see this pixelated character. You can tell it's Mario. That's who he's trying to be. But then if you look at Mario in Super Mario World, you can actually see Mario and his eyes and his face and his everything. Big graphical upgrade. It's Super Nintendo power now. Otherwise, that whole cartridge issue where you pop in the cartridge, it was kind of fixed. It was a lot easier to put the cartridge into the SNES. and have it work first try. Did it work first try every time? Not always, but it was much easier to have that happen. And yeah, graphical upgrades all around. Great games made for that system in terms of not just Nintendo with games like Mario World, Mario RPG, but also third parties. So I think SNES is phenomenal too. I think if we're putting NES in B tier, we're going to put the SNES in the A tier. Love it. Next, we have all of the Game Boys. So, of course, the Game Boys, as I alluded to in the beginning of this podcast, all came out different time periods. Some in 2001, some in 19, whatever, right? Like different generations here. So we're putting them all together and ranking all 5 of them one by one. I say all 5 because I put a few of them in the never played category. So here we go. Game Boy original, the first one, the Game Boy. Max, what do you think? I had this perception of the Game Boy. Like living in today's generation where I grew up with the Wii, right? I had this perception of the Game Boy where I was like, all right, it's kind of cool that you can play games on the go back in the 90s, right? Like that's kind of cool. But I'm not going to lie, it looks terrible. You can barely even see what's on that screen. It looks just horrendous, right? Like who actually wants to play the Game Boy? And I have grown to realize that is such a terrible, just inconsiderate thought. Like back in the 90s, whatever, 80s, whatever, it's not like you had this bevy of high quality video games. In terms of taking games on the go, the Game Boy, even though it doesn't look great these days, was probably like pretty freaking cool back in the day. So I try to get myself there. And this, is very helpful. This story I'm going to tell is helpful to me looking at the Game Boy nowadays. When I was younger, I went to the Nintendo World store in New York, back when it was called Nintendo World. And I bought this, my mom bought for me, this Donkey Kong keychain. And I actually just got it back. We did a video on our main channel called I Bought Lost Nintendo Mail. And I just found this in that mailbox. It's this Donkey Kong keychain. And you can play Donkey Kong, is it Donkey Kong Jr. or something on that keychain. And like, that doesn't look good on the keychain. But the point of it, which was also, I guess, the point of the Game Boy, is to be able to, it doesn't matter how it looks on the screen. Have fun, play something on the school bus, on a road trip, on whatever portable time you're having. Put it that way, okay? And that's what the Game Boy was. So for me, being younger, knocking it because it didn't look good on the screen, even though it's like 20 years old at that time, was pretty naive. So I say that all to say, I think higher of the Game Boy now than I definitely used to. I think it was generational. So I'm going to, I'll factor in some like generational impact into my rankings here. And with that being said, all my rankings currently will stay the same with that in mind. I'm going to put the Game Boy at A tier. I'm ranking all these pretty high. Trust me, it's going down soon. It's going down. We have nothing below B tier, but trust me, it's going down eventually. Game Boy Color is up next. And if I were to apply if I apply the logic from NES to SNES, remember how I ranked the SNES higher than the NES because it's just better, Game Boy Color is a Game Boy, but better. Yeah, I see that side of it. But am I wrong to say, am I wrong in saying that the Game Boy Color, because I didn't live this era, obviously, I wasn't born. Am I wrong to say that it felt like it was almost a little bit more, and I say a little bit, like swept under the rug? Like when I go and buy Game Boy games these days, it's either you're buying a Game Boy Advance game or you're buying a Game Boy game. I feel like Game Boy Color is the middle child that is left out. Am I the only one that feels that? I don't know. Maybe I could be totally wrong and off the mark. But that's how I look at it. And I feel like it's unfair to say this, but now in our current present generation, if you're looking to collect Game Boy games, I feel like you're either going to buy a Game Boy Advance, which is probably the smartest, or an original Game Boy. Like, who out there is really buying a Game Boy Color these days? And I'm all over the place, guys. Some consoles I'm ranking on their impact at the time, some I'm ranking for today. These are all my thoughts, so just bear with me. Like, who's really buying a Game Boy Color? I have one. I'm not knocking it. It is right there. It is the darker blue one. That, like, tealish blue. I have it right. Turquoise. I have it right there. I have one. But not a lot of people are really buying that nowadays. Back then, it must have been, wow, we can play our games, but in color. This is so cool, right? I think it wasn't as big of a step as NES was to SNES in terms of graphical upgrades. I could be wrong. I didn't live that era, once again, but these are my outsider thoughts. It doesn't seem like as big of a deal. So for that reason, I'll be ranking the Game Boy Color at B tier underneath the original Game Boy. There we go. Alrighty, Game Boy Micro. I have been hands-on with this console once, and after that day, I was like, please never again. I think that the Game Boy Micro, like, why did this have to happen? And once again, I'm going out of order chronologically, but once again, just putting these all out there. Game Boy Micro, why was this a thing? I think making a smaller version of a console makes sense. You want to do a Switch Lite? Okay. You want to do a Wii Mini? Weird, but sure. You want to do a 2DS? Sure. I think the Game Boy was small enough, man. I don't think that we needed a Game Boy Micro. Why was that a thing? Like, for what reason? Who wanted one of these? If you buy a Game Boy Advance and a Game Boy Micro, like, they're similar enough size. You did not need a Game Boy Micro when you could have bought a Game Boy Advance. And sure, like, maybe it was cheaper, maybe it was more convenient to carry around. Like, it's not as big of a difference, though, as Switch 1 and Switch Lite. Like, that needs a smaller version. People who don't want to spend that kind of money, who want a more compact version, who only plan to play in handheld mode, not TV mode. Game Boy Micro is the same thing. Why? Okay, anywho, I'll stop. If you can't tell, I'm not a fan. I put Game Boy Micro in D tier. Game Boy Micro is not a console that you want to own today. I don't think that you will genuinely use it. The screen is as big as my thumb. That could be a lie. But overall, I'm out. I'm very much so out on this. Game Boy Advance. Let's talk about this. This is where things went up. Not only do you have Game Boy games in color, but you also have them in higher graphical quality. So Game Boy Advance, kudos to you. It came in all nice, cool colors. And yeah, this is kind of like, it's basically what the Game Boy Advance is it's kind of like the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. It's the same concept. It's still under the same name umbrella, but it's like better in every single way possible. Better build, better looking games, obviously. Color already is in there. Just better everything. Cartridges too. There was nothing wrong with the Game Boy Advance that the Game Boys in the past did not already have. I think, oops, my Amazon Alexa made a noise. Shut up. Sorry. I would lean putting the Game Boy Advance in A tier above the Game Boy. Because although I think it's better than the Game Boy, and we're going to rank it higher than the Game Boy, I think that the Game Boy should still be up there because of its impact and how iconic that console is. Game Boy Advance, though, being better, I'm going to put that in high A tier. There we go. Let's put it above the SNES. Yes, cool. All right, cool. Game Boy Advance SP, our last Game Boy to talk about. So it is a Game Boy Advance, but a foldable one. I think that's a cool concept as opposed to like Game Boy Micro was not needed. I think Game Boy Advance SP, foldable, that sort of deal. I think that's real cool. I think it made it, well, it's kind of conflicting because I know people that think the Game Boy Advance is more comfortable physically than the Game Boy Advance SP. However, I'm a Game Boy Advance SPer. I think it's a little more comfortable, and I like the build and everything about it a lot more. So I personally like the SP a lot more. However, I know some people who are Game Boy Advance only, you know. I like the harder buttons. I like the build. I like the triggers a little better. It's very similar to a Game Boy Advance, so I won't rehash the entire Game Boy Advance story, life story. But I think without getting too deep into that, it just comes down to personal preference, which one you like. Obviously, there's some things that are, you know, improved. I think I'd probably go with... I'd put it right next to the Game Boy Advance, but above it. So I'm going to put it in A tier with the Game Boy Advance, but put it above the original Game Boy Advance. Anywho, enough saying the word Game Boy or the words Game Boy. Golly. All right, let's do the next one. We are done with Game Boys, but we still have one boy, the Virtual Boy. Oh, gosh. Alrighty, so let's preface this by saying I have never owned or used an original Virtual Boy, but I would imagine that the Nintendo Switch version I've used is not that much different. And it's probably better. Like, if I had used a real Virtual Boy, my thoughts on this console would probably be 10 times worse because, like, using original hardware versus the remade hardware, the remade one will give you a better experience. If I use the original one, oh gosh, imagine the things that I would have to say about this. So, Virtual Boy, I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. For those who do not know, the Virtual Boy is it's almost like VR before VR existed. You put your eyes in these little goggles and you hold a controller while you're in there, and you can play Mario Tennis, Wario Land, and like these games look 3D to a degree. It's hard to explain it. You really have to feel it because, like, I heard people explain the Virtual Boy for so long, and I was like, how does that make sense that it's like 3D? You have to see it. It's similar-ish to the 3DS's 3D, where you feel some things popping out at you. So it's cool in that way, but at the same time, not only does my neck get uncomfortable leaning into this Virtual Boy headset for a long time, but also all of the games inside this headset are only red and black. There's no other color. So that's hurting my eyes after a little bit and giving me a headache. Not to mention, all the games that I played, not all, I should apologize, but like Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy. What is my reason nowadays? This was not an argument back then, although it could have been. Like, what is my reason to play Mario Tennis on the Virtual Boy and not just go play it on the Game Boy or the N64 or whatever else, right? Like, what is my reason? I don't know. So I would lean putting the Virtual Boy in D tier below the Game Boy Micro. Like, I think it's just the worst. And I'm not trying to like tag on to everyone saying, because it's pretty widely considered the worst Nintendo console, and I don't want to bandwagon on that train and be like, yeah, guys, it really is the worst. But if you've used one, it really is the worst. This is the console I would never go back to. I would rather play a full-on Game Boy Micro than go back to Virtual Boy. So I'm putting that in D tier below Game Boy Micro. We will see if any other console goes below that. Game & Watch. I've played here and there. I think for its time, it's fine. You're juggling the balls on that game, I think it's okay. I just don't understand in a world where there's NES, SNES, Game Boy, and all this other stuff that is coming out, like, who's buying the Game & Watch? Because let me fact check this. Sorry for not knowing it. I was not even born yet. But let's just check. Game & Watch release date. All right. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm so sorry, I'm an idiot. This was 1, not chronological, and 2, why did I think that it came out in like 1990? I'm wrong. Okay, let's re-preface. This was before the NES. I'm so sorry. Okay, hold on. Now I have to like reconsider. This was like before its time. Okay, hold on. How did I not know that? Okay, whatever. Game & Watch. Okay, for what that is then, juggling the balls on the game. It's an upgrade from the Color TV game 6, in terms of that only being ping pong. And I'll tell you all this, the Game & Watch game, where you juggle those balls on the screen that are falling down, I played it on the DS. I played Game & Watch on the DS. There was like a DSiWare Game & Watch game. And that I could even play when I was like 4 years old. So like there's so many DS games. I was 4. I had Sonic Rush. I had the Smurfs DS game. I had Pillow Pets. I had a lot of DS games that I could play in full high quality. I spent so many hours playing the Game & Watch game out of all the things that I could have played. So speaks volumes to you can be any age and have fun with a Game & Watch. So I think I'll give it a higher rating than a lot of you think I will. And of course, the Game & Watch had some other bits and bobbles too, but I think I would go with a middle B tier. And, you know, that's maybe even considered low to some of you guys, but I think it's not stunning. I have not gone back to it since I was 4 years old, and I'm almost 20 now, so that's about 16 years I've not played it. But I do feel it kept me. And also, when I had this DS, it was 2010 or so. This game was 30 years old, and it still was good for its time, and it still held up to that day. So I think I'm putting Game & Watch. Let's go mid B tier. Cool. Alrighty. We have, what is next? We have the GameCube. Okay, sick. GameCube. I've played, sorry. N64. My tier list is all out of whack, huh? N64, here we go. N64, I've spent also a good amount of time playing games on that console. And this, you know, you want to talk about a game console for its time. This was revolutionary. This was, prior to the N64, you had the SNES, which was still all pixels. So then going to the N64, like Mario went from pixels to being a real human. So that's a huge leap. I think the N64, a lot of those games still hold up to this day. You see a lot of people, and maybe it's because the games are just legendary or whatever the case. Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, DK64. You see not only a lot of people streaming these games still to this day, like speedrunning or just having fun, but you see a lot of people collecting for the N64, still buying a ton of games. Like, I hear about so many people, I just bought this old N64, I'm so excited. Like, I hear a lot of people, at least in my circle and gaming conventions, like, buying N64 stuff, and I get it. Like, all the games on that console, not all, let's not say that, a lot of the games on that console, by Nintendo, by others, are phenomenal. I think it's one of the best retro game consoles to collect for, because do any of my younger gamers out there relate? When I play an NES game, I don't know what it is, maybe it's just the graphics and that, you know, they're all pixels and in this generation we have much better graphics. I feel as though I can't play those games for very long because I know that there are better options out there. With N64, that stops because they're like good enough graphics that still hold up to a degree to today. Like, you can still play those today and have fun. And the games on there, Mario 64, Ocarina, Majora's Mask, Donkey Kong, Smash Bros., all brilliant games. It's a great console. Should have sold more units, I think. But am I playing it a lot today? No. I think, though, there's still so much interest in it, however long, 30 years later. So N64 has held its own. I'm going to go... I hate putting all this stuff in A tier. Golly. I'm going to put it in A tier just behind the Game Boy Advances. Well, no, I'll put it above the Game Boy Advances. Yeah. Alrighty, N64 is our highest rated console thus far. Sick. Alrighty. GameCube now. I have two versions of the GameCube on here. The GameCube original, then the Panasonic Q, which was a Game Boy variant. I'm going to drag the Panasonic Q into the never played because I have never used one, so how can I be fair to that? Alrighty, GameCube. This was the first console I've ever played in my entire life. Before the DS, before the Wii, I would play Shrek 2 on the GameCube. I would play Luigi's Mansion. I wasn't good at it, but I'd play it. I was like 3. But I vividly can remember those. And I don't really know, because when you're that young, you don't remember what you're thinking, right? Like, you don't remember when you were 2 what your comprehensive thoughts were on Shrek 2 for the GameCube. But I just know I loved it. If there was a day where I was 3, 4, even 5 years old, home from school, my preschool or whatever, I wouldn't want to do anything else than play the GameCube and maybe ride my scooter. But aside from that, it was like a really fun thing that I gravitated towards too. So GameCube changed my life, if you want to put it that way. And let's talk about the games. You had Mario Sunshine, you had Luigi's Mansion, you had Pokémon XD, you had Smash Melee, you had a lot of great GameCube games, not to mention some great third-party stuff. And I think that when I say the GameCube had great third-party games, a lot of people would want to fight back on that take and be like, no, it didn't have great third-party. I think for me personally, there was a lot of great third-party games, and it's not Nintendo's doing. It's like that time in gaming had a lot of fun stuff. So, example, all of the Disney sports games, Disney soccer, Disney basketball, Disney skateboarding, love those games. Backyard football on the GameCube. Once again, these are all very niche games, but for me, ranking these consoles in my life, these were all great third-party games. Shrek 2 obviously was mentioned. NFL or backyard. NFL Playground. That was what it was. That was great, and so many more. Amazing Island, really great third-party support, and of course, Switch 1 and Switch 2 have that now. They have great third-party support, but GameCube had a lot of the games that I liked in third-party. Because when the Wii came around, you saw a lot more shovelware, like Birthday Party Bash for the Wii. What the heck is that game? But the GameCube, although it had its bad games, I think a lot of the games on GameCube were, am I wrong to say, higher quality? Like, the bottom of the barrel GameCube games are much better than the bottom of the barrel Wii games. Can I say that, please? I think so. So, I think in terms of games, the console was strong. In terms of sales, though, not really. 20 million copies sold. So not really a commercial success there. The small discs were also kind of annoying, but GameCube was strong overall. I think I would go low A tier. I think I'd put it above the SNES, but behind the Game Boy Advance. No, it's got to be above that. All right. Well, if you all are wondering why I'm ranking so many consoles so high, just wait till we get to the later portions. I have bad things to say. I feel like I had the same problem last episode 100, where I was like ranking all the controllers too high, and then it all went down from there. All right, trust me, we're getting to the good stuff here. All right, now we're ranking all of the Nintendo DSs. All right, DS Fat. I've held a DS Fat, the first ever DS. And first, let's talk about DS as a whole, just for the one time. Then we'll rank each model and give our thoughts on each model. So, DS as a whole, game-changing. It was a Game Boy Advance, but with 2 screens and higher quality graphics. You had Mario Kart that changed lives. You had New Super Mario Bros. DS, which, coming from Game Boy Advance Mario games, Mario looked pretty freaking smooth. And so, yeah, it was like graphics never seen before for 2004. Mario Kart, Mario Bros. You had, I'm looking right now, Mario and Donkey Kong. You had Animal Crossing Wild World. You had the Kirby games. You had so many great DS games. And I think a lot of it that brought the appeal to me, when I was young and looked at the GameCube versus the DS, what I liked with the DS is that I could tap the screen on the bottom. And that sounds so small. Oh, Max, wow, a touch screen at 4 years old really wowed you. That's so weird. Like, it did. I was 4. I could actually interact with my game, draw designs on my Mario Kart, you know? As opposed to the GameCube, being younger, it felt more like I was playing someone else's game. I could really do my own thing. Draw stupid things on PictoChat. Like, on certain models of the DS, take pictures of myself. Record voice memos. Like, these were all such cool things that no other console at that time, Wii or GameCube, had given me. So, I think very highly of the DS era. And you want to talk about games for a console and third-party support. There were so many great third-party games for the DS, and granted, some bad ones. There were a ton of great games, even just like small, great games on the DSi shop, which is, again, certain models of the DS. Some had it, some didn't. But as the DS as a whole, DSi shop was a thing. DSi shop had that Birds and Beans game I would play, Animal Boxing I used to play, some bowling and basketball games that I used to play, Cooking Mama. Like, there were so many great things on that DSi shop. And that was like really Nintendo's first online digital store on their consoles. And so I think it was a smash hit. And yeah, I have nothing bad to say about the DS, really. I mean, the DS Fat we'll talk about, but like the whole generation, there wasn't a lot bad on the DS. So I think the original DS is flat out the worst one. Why do you want this console? I think it is the least reliable. Good for its time, but now in hindsight, when you compare that console to the DSi, which is much more improved, why would you want this these days? Of course, back then it's different. You know, the first console of the DS era, like, of course, it's different back then. But today, you don't want that. I think it is just weird and bulky compared to the other DS models. So I'm going to put that one in C tier probably, because it's still a DS. It still functions. It still works. It's great. DS Lite. So this one, I should mention, like, these DSs played Game Boy games. So that's pretty cool. Game Boy Advance, Game Boy games. That's cool. Yeah, I should give them credit for that. Let's move the DS. No, that can stay there. DS Lite. DS Lite, DS Lite, DS Lite. It is essentially a DS, plays Game Boy games, but it's much less bulky, sleeker design, much more refined. There's nowhere to put that than, I would say, a high B tier. Great. Okay, so now we have the DS Lite in B tier and the DSi. Sorry. First ever DS in C tier. Now we rank the DSi. This is what I had as a kid. This is the DSi that had your camera, that had your DSi shop. You can download games. This had so much. Now, granted, it did take away the Game Boy support. That you cannot play Game Boy games on the DSi. However, I think that the DSi shop and all the things that I mentioned, all this new stuff that they added to the DSi would outweigh the Game Boy support. Therefore, I'm going to put the DSi I'm going to go A tier in front. Behind the GameCube, in front of the Game Boy Advances. Cool. And then DSi XL is the exact same thing, but bigger. There's like no other difference. Let's put that just right in front of the DSi. All right. That's how I rank all the DSs. DSi XL and DSi in A tier. And then DS Lite in B tier. And then the Fat DS in C tier. Cool. The Nintendo Wii. We have 3 different models of the Nintendo Wii to rank. The first one is the original one, the white one, the red one. There were many different models of the Wii. The version 1 of the Wii that had GameCube support, that model of Wii. I think that is the best model of Wii to own. Usually, what Nintendo will do is they'll put out other versions of consoles unless it's like trying to be a more budget version. So for example, Switch 1 to Switch Lite. The Switch 1 is better, right? Usually they put out consoles that get better over time, like the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance. Or that's not fair. Sorry, Game Boy to like Game Boy Color. That still isn't fair. Anyways, what I'm saying is like, usually consoles get better as they keep releasing more Nintendo Wiis. The first one was the best one. It just simply was. I have no argument that the Wii is going to be the highest rated console, not of this segment, but of right now. Wii Sports, motion controls, Wii Connect 24 online service. Of course, they had the same thing on the DS, but this was different. It was more interactive of games to use the DS Wi-Fi. The Wii Connect 24 online servers, the Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. So many great motion games. Wii Fit. You're bringing out accessories that are changing the whole game. You're bringing out the best Mario games. Mario Bros. Wii. Mario Galaxy, Mario Party, not to mention you're porting over Zelda Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, like so many great games. It's not even like an argument. Donkey Kong Country Returns, Wii Sports Resort, like Animal Crossing, City Folk. What more did you want? You know, like so many great games, great console. Some even just small things to like make the console good for the group. Weather channel, news channel. Like they went the whole mile. Can talk to your friends. We speak, chat with your friends. Like whole lot of great stuff on the Wii. You truly had everything on there. And it was a dream family home console in 2006. The only problem with the Wii that I can really think of is like the shovelware. And for those who don't know that term, shovelware means really, really bad, low budget Wii games. Like the worst of the worst. There's a lot of those. Like to name a few, Birthday Party Bash is one that I mentioned. What the heck? Why? Okay, like why? I used to be able to name a lot more. I used to name so many shovelware games. Eminem's Kart Racing, right? Like, that did not need to be... That game is so bad, okay? Like, there was a lot of those really stinky bad games. Smarty Pants by EA Sports. There are a lot of bad games. More than ever. That did not need to exist. I think that's a problem. Aside from that, Wii is like top tier. I'm putting it high A tier. Where the controversy comes in, as I grab my sip of water right here, is the other Wii models. Nintendo later on released a Wii model that came in, I think, blue, white, black, And it was a Wii model, I believe, primarily made to lay on its side, even though the OG Wii could do that. It was going to lay on its side, and it didn't have GameCube support. That's it. That's it. It was a different version of the Wii. I want to Google, was it cheaper? Was it cheaper than the original Wii? So it's called the Wii Family Edition. That was... no one's telling me what it... Price at launch. All right, so it says the Wii Family Edition launched 5 years later in 2011 for $150, and it came bundled with Mario Kart Wii and a Wii Wheel accessory. So being $100 cheaper than the OG Wii, you're getting a cheaper console that does the same thing, but no GameCube support. Honestly, that's fair. But if I was a gamer looking for a Wii in 2006, 7, 8, 9, or 10, or 11, and I could buy a $250 Wii with GameCube or a $150 Wii but no GameCube, I'm buying the $250 Wii because like you get full GameCube support, which is invaluable. You know, $100 GameCube back then, like sick, I'll take it. So yeah, I would go putting this. I'd put this like in, because who wants this, dude? Like, and people have it, so no disrespect. I'm just saying, like, I would never even consider that over the OG Wii. I'm gonna go mid B tier because like it still works. It's a Wii, it's great, but like you're losing GameCube. I'm gonna go. Yeah, like middle of B tier, behind the NES and in front of the Game & Watch. Alrighty, also the Wii Mini was released. This came bundled with Mario Kart Wii, and it was a whole thing. The Wii Mini. What are the differences, Max? Well, it has no internet connection. Why? Out of all the things that you can remove, take out, I don't know, the disk drive and let me download... Well, that's stupid. Sorry. Take out anything else. Internet? How do you play with your buddies? How do you play with the homies? They took that out and also SD card functionality. Why? No, I mean, like honestly, why? Now, I give it credit. It's a cute little design. It's a different looking Wii, it's more of a square shape, and the disk drive actually pops open like the GameCube did, and you put your disc in there, close it all up, and it works. That's how the Wii Mini was. Aside from that, it is still a Wii. But you had no weather channel, no news channel, no Wii Speak, no connectivity, no online Mario Kart, no online anything. It's an offline Wii for $100. Why? Just buy a normal Wii! Like, that's the full experience, and maybe at this point in time, when this came out, the Wii U was not far from coming out. The 3DS was about to come out, already out, whatever. Why would you buy this? It did not sell well. I would not buy one. It's a cutesy idea to save some money, but it's just not the premium console. So how can I rate it high? I can't. I'm going to put the Wii Mini in C tier, just above the Fat DS. All right, cool. Now we have all of the 3DSs to rank. Let's go ahead and do it. 3DS as a whole. As a whole, solid console. I think people have more nostalgia for the DS, and that's great. But I think objectively, the 3DS is better in every single way. No nostalgia. Better Mario Kart, better Mario Bros. Game, in my opinion. That last one's more, opinion based, but I think it had a better Mario Bros. Game, and I think it just did everything the DS did but better. And if you have a console that does that, everything it does but better, how can it not be ranked higher? So, it had camera, you can take videos on your, well, I think you can also do video on DS, right? At the very least, video on 3DS. You had, again, a digital eShop. But the difference with the 3DS's eShop and the DS's eShop is you could not download every single DS game that you can buy physically, digitally. However, on 3DS, you can download games that you can buy physically, digitally. So if Animal Crossing Wild World released on the DS, if I'm not wrong, like you couldn't download that on the DSi shop. You could only download mini smaller games. On the 3DS though, you can download the new Animal Crossing. You can download the new Mario Bros. You can download all these games. So that improved the console in a huge way. Digital games spiked. And so that's a great plus. And yeah, great games throughout that generation as well. Great Pokemon games, in my opinion. Great Animal Crossing, favorite game of all time. Don't even play with me right now. Tomodachi Life. Pilot Wings, sorry. Pilot Wings was great. Mario Parties were, they were okay. They actually weren't the best. But overall, that generation, better than DS in my personal opinion. That is my opinion. Objectively, in everyone's view, the 3DS is better. Whether the games were better, that's opinion, and I think that they were better on 3DS. So I will say this. I think the original, because there are 6 models of 3DSs to rank, and that includes the 2DS. All right, original first ever 3DS. Where do we rank it? I've held one before. I would probably put that, I'd put that in, I would go, because it was the first ever 3DS. Like, they're trying their best. It was still better than a DS in every way. Let's go mid B tier above the Wii Family Edition. All right, cool. 3DS XL is what I had, so it's the same thing but better. But I would like to add it's not the same thing but better. It's the same thing but a lot better. How do I explain? So not only are these screens bigger, but it's also a different texture. It felt more durable than the 3DS original. And some of the buttons even feel a little bit better from, comparing both consoles. It was an updated build of a 3DS. It wasn't just the screens are bigger. It was an updated version of it. So I think I'll put it a lot higher than the first ever 3DS. I will put the 3DS XL in low A tier behind the Game Boy. I will put the I'm so sorry. Oh, here. Yeah. 3DS XL. Low A tier. Nintendo 2DS. We're not going... Well, no. Let's rank all of the 3DSs first, then do 2DS. So, after the 3DS XL, Nintendo's like, all right, let's make more. They make what is called the new Nintendo 3DS. The new Nintendo 3DS. And what that had is Amiibo support. Better 3D. A new control stick that was used for like 2 games. Extra back trigger buttons, shoulder buttons rather. It adds a couple neat things, right? But it's not going to change and rock your world. I guess what's one other cool thing that it had was like you can change out the faceplates of your 3DS, like change essentially the color of your system, which is kind of cool. So it's overall an upgrade from 3DS XL. It's just I was only sounding like I was knocking it because it is a weird thing to do, like introduce a new line of systems that are still the exact same system. So I'm going to put the new Nintendo 3DS probably just above. Probably no, let's go with right above the 3DS XL, still behind the Game Boy. Let's put the new Nintendo 3DS XL, which is a different console, but bigger. Sorry, it's the new 3DS, but bigger. Let's put that, obviously, just right above the new Nintendo 3DS. Then, let's put the Nintendo 2DS. All right, so this is the 2DS now. And what it is, it's the exact same thing as a Nintendo 3DS, but it does not fold. And it's a little bit bulkier, little odd shaped, cheaper, has no 3D, and it does not fold. Did I mention the no 3D part? I did, I think. If not, I just did, so enjoy. No 3D and does not fold. I think if you are... Okay, let me ask this. How many of you out there actually benefited from being able to fold your 3DS? Like, obviously that's convenient. But was there a moment... And maybe the answer is yes. For me personally, the answer is yes, but I'm just asking. If you're taking your 3DS on the go and you put it wherever you're putting it, in your pocket, in your backpack, my question is, did you actually need to fold it? So, if you were putting the 3DS in your backpack, that is always where you put it, it probably wouldn't have mattered if you folded the screen or not, because your backpack probably had enough space. However, if you're somebody who puts their 3DS in their pocket, then you need to be able to fold it or else it will not fit in your pocket. I ask that because I'm trying to gauge how important the folding part actually is. For me, folding was important. The screen wouldn't scratch, I could fit it in smaller areas. I liked that you could fold it. You cannot fold the 2DS. I think that's a problem for me personally, but for some people it wouldn't be. So, with that, and with the 2D, I mean, let's be real, who even used 3D anyway, right? Like, who used 3D on the 3DS? Probably not a lot of people. So, I'm going to put the 2DS, I'm going to put it behind the Wii Family Edition, but still in front of the Game & Watch, because it does still play great games. You can't deny that. I'm going to put the new Nintendo 2DS XL, which was basically a 3DS XL, but slimmer, lighter, no 3D. There were a lot of flaws with the 2DS XL. I've seen the amount of 2DS XLs I've seen online snapped in half are insane. Like, that's crazy to me. So there are a lot of those. I think I would like to go, because I had one of these. I've got my hands on all these consoles. I would like to go probably high B tier with the 2DS XL, behind the NES and above the original 3DS. I'd probably go there. Cool. All right. That's all of our 3DSs ranked. Now we rank the Wii U, which is an interesting one. The Wii U is my favorite Nintendo console of all time. Why is that, Max? Well, because I had so much great nostalgia with it. I had a lot of great nostalgia. So much. And that's a big thing that I cannot weigh on too heavy in this ranking because I don't want it to affect me too much. But it's just true. I had so many great times with it. And although it didn't sell well, that doesn't mean it was a bad console. Now, some people will argue, yes, don't mind me, I'm just coping over here. A lot of people thought it was a bad console. I think if the console was marketed well and it was called a Wii 2, it'd be a lot... It would be received a lot better. And although the Wii U still had objective issues like the games not being as high quality, Star Fox Guard, Mario Party 10, just games that are not as high quality. It had that problem. No 3D Mario, right? Apart from Mario 3D World. It was still a charming console. That's where Splatoon began. That's where we got Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. You got Mario 3D World. I find it just incredibly laughable whenever anybody says the Wii U had no good games on the console. Why do you have half of them on the Switch then? Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Mario 3D World, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Why are half the Wii U games on the Switch? Why? And why do you own all of them? You own all of them. I know you out there. You own all of them. New Super Mario Bros. U. They're all on Switch. If they weren't good, why are they on there? Why did they sell so great on Switch if they suck? No, the Wii U had great games, but they weren't discovered for a long time. So, sorry to go off there. I just had to, say my piece a little bit, but yeah, great games. I don't want to hear otherwise. Charming home menu, and that is such a small point. When we judge a console, who would I be to judge a home menu? Well, as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old child playing the Wii U, even 7-year-old actually, I found that charming. I loved looking at the home menu for like an hour, looking at everyone's Miiverse posts. By the way, it had a social media platform called Miiverse, this console did. The Wii U is sick. You had Wii U chat, which was video chat. The Wii didn't have that. It had voice chat, but not Wii U chat. You had Miiverse. You had the Wii U eShop was killing it. You had just so much great stuff. The Wii U would celebrate your birthday. So many small touches that meant a lot to me as a kid. And great, memorable home music, home menu music. Like I love the Wii U. And I hope to be able to give my future kids a Wii U one day. And if they like it, like that's how I'll know that they're my kids. I'm kidding. But yeah, love the Wii U with all my heart. Favorite games on that console: Splatoon. Mario Maker. Mario 3D World. It's not Nintendo, but I played a lot of Disney Infinity on there. A lot of good stuff on the Wii U. So putting that in S tier, fight me. Now we rank the Nintendo Switches. I'm going to include the Switch 2 in this. All right, so Nintendo Switch, the original model, released on March 3rd of 2017. What do I rank it? I had this console from 2017 day one up until the last day, June 4th of 2025. So it was almost 10 years. I've been through the ups and downs with this console. And I think although it is an amazing console, the Switch mechanic is so great. And the library of games, stunning, and there's so many different games for it, and you can buy them all digital. The only flaw that I personally can point out is the power. So many games just ran terrible and would take forever to load, and there was just not enough power in this console for what it was trying to do. That is my biggest problem with it. Aside from that, the console is sound. You can swap the Joy-Cons, handheld, TV mode. This is what we have today. It is a brilliant, smart concept. And so I lean putting this. I'm probably going to put the Switch 1. I mean, S tier probably. I just put it in there. I go S tier. Aside from the power, what is wrong with it? It is a phenomenal console that brought so much joy, had so many great games. Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart. Also Mario Kart 8 got ported off of the Wii U. That's a good game. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Pikmin 4. Even quirky things like Ring Fit Adventure. All of these games were smash hits. So they were all on Switch. Different colored Joy-Cons. No one's Switch was the exact same. Unless it was. Yeah, brilliant. My only two problems with the entire Switch 1 generation was the underpowered bits and pieces, and then also a very small issue. I mean, not small to me, but relatively small. The home menu was boring and still is to this day, and the game case spines are red. But aside from that, it was a great, phenomenal console. So that goes in S tier. Switch Lite was the cheaper, $100 cheaper version of the Nintendo Switch, and I think that I have one. I like the mushier buttons. It's a cute console. I think it's a great thing for people who want to casually play Switch. I know a lot of people bought it during the pandemic because they didn't want to fully commit to a gaming system for $300, but they can do $200. Like, they can do that a little easier. And so I think more than, when Nintendo released the Wii Family Edition, when they released the Game Boy Micro, I think this is the best way that Nintendo has done a cheaper version of a console without taking away too much. All it took away was the ability to play in docked mode and to take the Joy-Cons off. They changed the build a little bit and it's smaller. Aside from that, it is still fully functional, online services, digital downloads. It is still a Switch. So they nailed it. I would probably put the Switch Lite just because it's still not the desired console. I'd put it above the DSi XL, but behind the GameCube. And then I don't know what this icon is on my tier list. Let's just call it the Switch OLED because we have to rank that. Switch OLED is a Switch 1, but better. Better screen, better speakers, better everything. Larger screen, of course. And better kickstand, better ventilation. Yeah, it's a Switch 1, but better in every single way. So how could that not go above the Switch 1 itself? There it is. Alrighty. All we have left is the Nintendo Switch 2. Now we got to rank this. And it's hard to rank it because we've not seen the entire generation play out. What if Nintendo stops releasing games tomorrow and I put this in S tier right now? Well, it certainly would not be an S tier, right? So it's hard to rank. For how the Switch era is going, the pace they are at, the console itself, the improvements on the console itself, I think it has vastly improved on everything, most things rather, the Switch 1 lacked in. So power. It is so much more powerful. It can actually run more intense games. Something as small and as stupid as the game box spines. They made them more colorful. They listened to their fans. And that means a lot, to be honest. So something as small as that, right? The better Joy-Cons. I personally have not gotten Joy-Con drift yet. However, I still hear that it might be a thing. Personally, it has not happened to me, so kudos. 4K. Sorry, back to better Joy-Con. I am all over. Back to better Joy-Cons. The magnetic Joy-Cons. I used to have this problem with the Switch 1 Joy-Cons where I wouldn't even need to hit the release button to take them off. They would just fly off. So that sucked. It was just kind of like, these Joy-Cons were low quality. They weren't good. They're tiny. They are uncomfortable to play in the horizontal Joy-Con mode. They're not good. Switch 2 improved on all of that. Even quality of life features, such as it having a top USB-C port. That means that you can charge the console while it's being on its kickstand. Great. The GameCube Switch Online Classics. They're adding things like that are exclusive to Switch 2. Now, just wait until we get our 3D Mario. Wait until we get our Mario Maker, maybe a new Zelda one day, 3D Zelda on Switch 2. Wait until we get all of this. It's going to be great. I couldn't give the Switch 2 a lower grade than the Switch 1, but I'm putting it behind the Wii U because Wii U is still my number one boy. That is our completed Nintendo console tier list, folks. Comment down below what you think, what you would change, what you disagree with. This is my list. The only thing that I don't like here is I think my new Nintendo 3DS XL is a little bit too low. I'm going to move it. And I'm going to move it. When I said a little bit too low, I meant a lot of bit too low. I'm going to move it like behind the GameCube. It was actually way too low. I don't know what I was doing. There we go. That's how it should look. Anywho, comment down below what you think. Tell me how I did. I'm pretty happy with that. Alrighty, cool. Virtual Boy, you suck. Let's go ahead and get to our next segment, folks, the Nintendo News Headlines segment, where I talk about all the happenings in the world of Nintendo on this historic week of the Mario Matter episode 200. Let's get to it. Folks, it is time to dive into Nintendo news from the past week on the historic episode 200 week of the Mario Matter. A lot of things happened this week, actually. A lot of weird things for Nintendo. Some things going away, some things changing, some new things being introduced. All over the map here, actually. So let's go ahead and dive into all of that. Number one piece of news that I have listed up here is a big one. It's one that we've been wondering about, and although it's not official everywhere, and I'll explain what I mean, it is beginning to happen. The Nintendo Switch 1, the first one, is being discontinued in Europe. So not everywhere yet, don't worry. But in Europe, it is being discontinued in mid-February of 2027. Now, I will explain the reason for why they are doing that, but I think to better explain that, allow me to quickly get to our next news topic, which will explain why they are doing that. Next piece of news, Nintendo Switch 2 is releasing in Europe. It's re-releasing a new version of the Switch 2 with a replaceable battery inside of it. So sit on that one for a second. The Switch 2 and Joy-Cons are releasing in Europe. It is a brand new Switch 2 updated version in Europe only that has replaceable batteries. So you can take the battery out, put a new one in, sort of thing. I don't think it's AA batteries, but it's like a custom Nintendo battery, I would imagine. So why is this happening? It's essentially laws in Europe where there's a new law where you gotta have replaceable batteries in electronics. This is gonna go for phones, it'll go for switches, everything that does not, plug in permanently. I mean, the PS5 won't have batteries, but I can't explain to you why that law was made, but it is. So what does Nintendo have to do? What do they have to do to keep their business running in Europe? Make a Switch with replaceable batteries. And so they're doing that. Here we go. Here are the specs, here are the details of the new Switch version only in Europe. The battery is approximately 1% smaller than the current version of the Switch 2. The included Joy-Con 2 controllers will also contain user-replaceable batteries. The weight of it is approximately 411 grams, around 10 grams heavier than the current Joy-Cons. With the Joy-Con 2 controllers attached to the Switch 2 will be approximately 500... sorry. I apologize. The Switch is 411 grams, 10 grams heavier. With the Joy-Cons 2 attached, it will be 548 grams, 14 grams heavier than the current Nintendo Switch 2. So it'll be ever so slightly heavier than the current Switch 2 as we know it. So there you go. You will have your replaceable battery Switch 2 this fall. They are releasing it. So look out for that of this year. Interesting. So they're discontinuing the Switch 1, back to that piece of news, because I don't think that they want to make a Switch 1 with replaceable batteries. I think they're like, all right, let's just kill it. But they still want to keep selling them everywhere else. But in Europe, they're like, all right, low-key, we're just done. It's not going to be a thing anymore. So there you go. It's gone. Now, our next piece of news. On to some pieces of news that affect the entire world. Mario Kart. Mario Kart Tour. Mario Kart Tour, is ending service. The app will be fully shut down by September 30th of this year. This came out of nowhere. So this was actually data mined a few days ago before they actually announced it officially. So we saw this coming. If you are paying attention to the Nintendo news and the whole sphere of news here, we could see this coming. But this sucks because with games that have shut down in the past, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, for example, they put out an offline version of the game for people to still play and buy to this day. With Mario Kart Tour, they're not going to let you do that. It is gone forever. You cannot play Mario Kart Tour. Service will be over. Sucks for everybody who spent money on the game. That sucks. It's kind of like Club Penguin. When, like, shout out to those who even know that game. When you pay for your Penguin membership for so many months and then Disney shuts it down, it's like, where'd all my money go? Like, your money's gone. You know, so that sucks for people who spent money on Mario Kart Tour. But that is the mobile Mario Kart game going down, shutting down by September 30th. Nintendo wrote a note. We sincerely thank the many people who have loved and supported the game since service began so long ago. Thank you for playing Mario Kart Tour. Basic, vanilla statement. It's not crazy. But anywho, Mario Kart Tour is shutting down. Get your last playthroughs in because it'll be gone in a little over 2 months. So it is what it is. I'm not affected. I didn't really play it, but I'm sorry to those who are affected. Pokemon Winds and Waves got a new leak. Let's talk about this. So this comes from Central Leaks, who is, it's my understanding, a Twitter account who has a lot of Pokemon inside sources. And they seem to be pretty on the ball a lot of the time and right with their information. But they were hesitant to share this new info because it is pretty big. It is massive. So if you want to hear this, listen up. Pokemon Winds and Waves is said to be having the highest amount of new Pokemon ever in a Pokemon game, which is said to be around 300 new Pokemon. Now, of course, there are a lot of Pokemon in the Pokemon world, but each Pokemon game adds a few new Pokemon. This will add, according to the leak, around 300 new ones. There's going to be a lot to learn after this. So, that's huge news. That's exciting. It sounds like if that is true, the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, all involved, are on a mission to make this like one of the best Pokemon games ever, it seems. So, that's really interesting. We'll have to see if it comes true. And there will be a new battle mechanic that will introduce special weather forms for some Pokemon. That'll be a new gimmick as well that they're also talking about. So, 300 new Pokemon, new weather battle gimmick. This sounds pretty sick to me. I'll take it. I'll take that easily. That's great. So, look forward to that. I won't dive too deep into it because it is just a leak, but that is huge news if true. We have new Nintendo Switch Online games being released. We have 3 new Game Boy games. We have one called Fortified Zone. We have the Sword of Hope 2. And we have Wario Land. Super Mario Land 3. That is the title of the game. Sick. If any of those, I will probably play Wario Land, if any. And then we have one new Game Boy Advance game, Dr. Mario and Puzzle League. Yeah, like I never play new Switch Online games when they're announced, but like kudos to those who do. You're having a fun time. You're getting new games releasing every month or so. It's just not for me. So these released. If you're into that, cool. If you're not, now you know those released. The only other bits of news are there were some new Pokemon Lego sets revealed to us. We got a look at a $300 Pokeball Lego set that is massive. It is 2,000 343 pieces. That is no small amount. That will take you some freaking time. We had that. That's a cool display piece. A lot of Lego sets are not good on shelves, but the Pokemon ones are. So I give credit. And then also we have a new Pokemon Red minifigure Lego set releasing. It is, we all know Lego minifigures like the figure guys, but this one is a large minifigure of 930 pieces of a trainer from Pokemon Red. Now that's pretty cool. So a large life-size minifigure going for, I don't believe the price is out yet, but going for a decent bit because, Pokemon Lego is not cheap, is it? So we'll just leave that be. You know what? Never mind. The price has to be out. Let's just Google it. Pokemon Red Lego Trainer price. It is going to be, here we go, $80. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it is a huge minifigure. Cool. There we go. That is all the news, folks. That went by. I was not even trying to go that fast, but it's like new Switch Online games. Cool. New Lego Pokemon. I don't have much to say. I'm not buying those myself. Pokemon Wins and Waves. I didn't have much to say. They're leaks. They're not confirmed. If they're confirmed, I have a lot more to say, but they're not confirmed. So, yeah, that news kind of flew by. But, yeah, we have a lot more fun segments to get to on this podcast. Don't go anywhere, folks. That's the news. Comment down below which piece of news you thought was best. I think the Pokemon stuff, the Pokemon Wins and Waves leak, promising if true. So I'll look forward to that. Now, folks, let's get to our third segment of the podcast, which is the Mario Matter Awards. I'm doing an award show for this podcast, handing out awards to different episodes, different guests that, were the most knowledgeable Nintendo fans. So I'll be giving that to one of our past guests. I'll be crowning my favorite episode, all this different stuff, giving out awards for the Mario Matter Award Show. Let's go ahead and let's get to it. Dun, 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 dun. Done. Welcome on into the Mario Matter Awards Show, folks. I am handing out 5 different awards. Wait a minute. Can I count? 1, 2, 3. Yes, it is 5. 5 different awards for Mario Matter guests and also Mario Matter episodes. So here are the 5 awards that we are giving out. Number 1, the first 2 have to do with guests. Number 1 is the most knowledgeable Nintendo fan. Who is the most knowledgeable person I have seen come on this podcast as a guest? I have that answer for you. The most passionate Nintendo fan. Who has that Nintendo passion like no other that I've seen? The best episode overall. We'll talk about that. Like which one is the best to watch for any new viewer. My personal favorite episode. Which one did I have the most fun with? Which one do I look back at? Like, oh, that was great. And the also worst episode. Which episode was the worst? Which did I feel was just terrible? Maybe not because of me. Maybe it also was because of me. But just the talking points. All the news that I had to work with that week. Like, which episode just sucked? I have the answer as well. So, let's go ahead and dive in to our Mario Matter Award Show. So, first things first. The most knowledgeable Nintendo fan. This is something that I can gauge whenever somebody is on this podcast, guys. When someone's on this podcast, you can pick at how much Nintendo knowledge they have. And there's no like, oh, I like that guy better because he has more knowledge, or I like that guy less. There's none of that. You just pick up how much knowledge they have. And some people have extraordinary amounts who analyze all of Nintendo's stuff and just are in the know in every regard. And when I thought of who would win this category, it really wasn't hard for me, like at all. This guy. Go ahead and lock in, though, who you all think is going to win this. I bet a lot of you think it's C.com. No, although he is very knowledgeable. Drum roll, please, for the category for the most knowledgeable Nintendo fan. The winner is Botox Games. When I've had Bo on this podcast, guys, first of all, I'm not sure if you all expected that answer, but Botox Games, guys, this guy, I don't think has missed a piece of Nintendo news in his entire life. This guy knows everything going on. He's one of the only guests to come on this podcast and tell me that I am missing news that I should have talked about. We will get to the end of the news, and he's like, oh, and you also forgot this. Like, he's not reading anything. He just knows it on the top of his head. Also, this is how I knew Bo knows too much. We'd be talking about, like, whatever, an upcoming game, or, like, making predictions for whatever game, right? Bo knows, like, all of the Nintendo development teams. So how Nintendo works is they have like, I'm not making a joke. They have like 6 or 7 Nintendo development teams. They're called like Nintendo EPD this, or I don't even know all of them, which is like how much knowledge Bo has. Nintendo EPD, and they all have numbers. EPD 1, EPD 2, EPD 3, up until 8, it seems like. They all of those teams work on different things. Bo knows like what all of them do. Bo's on this podcast like, yeah, so that would be the EPD3 team and they're working on this game. I'm like, how do you know that? Like that's ball knowledge. So I think most knowledgeable Nintendo fan on this podcast has got to be Botox Games. No one else has been on this podcast and done that. So crazy to me. Anywho, that's where it wasn't hard. It wasn't that hard to pick a winner for that one. That's crazy to me. All right. Most passionate Nintendo fan. Who has come on this podcast and shown just a lot of passion and genuine excitement for Nintendo? And of course, everyone on this podcast is passionate because they're Nintendo fans, obviously. But who has the most passion? Now, when I give this answer, when I give this award out, I don't want it. How do you word this? I think what's also very important to value is how long they've been a Nintendo fan, and their roots not only in the Nintendo gaming, but also YouTubing. You know, how long have they been doing Nintendo stuff and still love it after all this time? I have the winner for the most passionate Nintendo fan, and before I even give out his name, he plays a lot more than just Nintendo. But my winner is Zach Scott Games. When Zach Scott Games was on this podcast, we were talking about so many different games, even off camera. We're talking about like a bunch of different games, and you can just tell after years of doing these gameplay videos, he's still, at least from what I can pick up, still as passionate as he was day one about doing these game videos. And he's always on top of every game. He's a passionate man. He came on this podcast excited to talk about, Nintendo stuff. Some people like Nintendo, but to a degree, they kind of like do the YouTube thing. Zach Scott's in it. He's in it to win it. So Zach Scott Games, I think, is our most passionate Nintendo fan on this podcast. Now let's go to our next awards. We have 3 more to give out. Let's go to the best episode of the Mario Matter ever. I don't know if an episode can top this one, only because the main topic, the main segment was so good, in my opinion. The only way that I can top it is doing an updated version in like 10 years. So I think this episode that I'm going to crown the best Mario Matter episode is one that, anybody can watch. Any Nintendo fan can watch. And just play a game and get some enjoyment out of it. And I think that episode is massive drum roll. It's not episode 97. It's not episode 98. It's not episode 99. I think episode 100. I'm going to put it that way. That was a 5-hour long episode. I went over my top 100 Nintendo games video games of all time. I ranked every Nintendo controller. I reacted to the first Mario Matter episode, and I answered every single question asked in the Q&A segment. And talked about Nintendo news. You cannot beat that podcast. And I try to with this podcast that I'm doing right here, but I can't do my top 100 games again because they probably haven't changed all too much since then. You know? So I think that is a great podcast that anyone who likes to listen to this podcast would get, enjoyment out of. That wins that award. That's still one of my favorites that I've done, and objectively, I think the best one to watch. Now, that's a whole different category. My favorite podcast episode I have ever done is different than what I think is the objective best one. My favorite one would be an episode that I had so much fun making and filming and, prepping for, and then I can look back at it and still watch it to this day and be like, that was so good, in my opinion. And that podcast is the podcast episode where I interviewed the creators of one of my favorite Wii games of all time, We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Yes, I posted that in late November of 2024. I interviewed the two lead developers for a Wii game that I loved growing up, which is called We Wish You a Merry Christmas. It was kind of the Christmas special episode of the Mario Matter that year. And that was such an amazing episode. I still find myself rewatching that interview to this day sometimes and learning about how that game was made and also hearing things I didn't hear the first time from Jim, who I interviewed, and also Andy, both of those guys. That episode is still up if you want to go and watch it. That almost not that a piece of me was broken, but that completed my story with this We Wish You a Merry Christmas game. That was a really great thing to do, and I'm so glad that I interviewed them, and I'm so glad that they took me up on the interview as well. So, yeah, really happy about that. That game is so fun, and to interview the developers was amazing. So, I look back at that so fondly. Last award goes out to the worst Mario Matter episode. Max, did you ever walk away from recording an episode and just think, oh gosh, that was awful? Yes, I have. And not only that, the topics were bad. The audio was bad. The video was bad. It was all bad. It was all just terribly bad. And that episode, which I would encourage you to go watch after this, is none other than, drum roll, episode 104. And you're probably asking me, Max, what was on episode 104 and why was it so bad? First of all, I was not in this studio. I was on vacation, so it was a remote podcast shoot. So there's one thing. The camera quality was bad. The second camera angle that I had was so poorly positioned. It was underneath my chin. I'm like, what am I doing? Audio wasn't great because it was windy and there were construction guys working. It was not good. And on top of all that, it was burning hot. It was so hot outside. It was 93, which is not burning hot. Sorry, Fahrenheit. It's not burning hot, but it's not comfortable for a podcast, And then on top of that, the main topics were Emio the Smiling Man, a visual novel game that Nintendo released in August of 2024. It was a horror novel game. And then we had a news piece where our only news pieces were Nintendo giving out an Echoes of Wisdom pin at PAX West. Cool. And then Epic Mickey on Switch got a demo released. That was it. It was Emio and it was those two things. That podcast sucked. I'm sorry. That's got to be my worst work. And I will say, apart from the remote shoot, that part, I can't say that the news topics were my fault. Because being nice to myself, they weren't. If Emio the Smiling Man is your main topic, we have a problem. I could have done better. Nowadays, what I would do if there's a game that I am not big on or is not a huge game at all, I will make it the second biggest topic. So we great example last week. Rhythm Heaven Groove was not the main segment on that podcast last week with Russ Vandy. It was the second biggest one, the second longest one. So, or maybe it was longer than the first segment, but it wasn't, more grand than the first segment. So, yeah, I do that nowadays. So maybe it was my fault, but either way, that was a pretty bad episode. I can't lie. So, anywho, not my favorite. Go back and rewatch it. It's watchable, but I don't love it. So that's where I stand with it. Anywho, those are my Mario Matter awards, folks. Let me know what you would give out in terms of awards. Who do you think was the most knowledgeable fan? Who was the most passionate fan? What was your favorite episode? What is your best episode? Which episode do you think just was bad all around? Well, don't tell me that one. I'm kidding. You can tell me. But yeah, let me know. And that's where I stand right there. So let me know where you all stand. With that said, I'm so hyped for this next segment. I wrote down 10 predictions that I think, like these are all things that I wrote down that I think will happen by episode 300. And we'll check back on episode 300 to see if they actually happened. Let's go ahead and let's get to that segment now. My friends, I am calling this next segment the Mario Matter Time Capsule. We will check back on this in 100 weeks. Call it 102 weeks because I might miss like one episode per year. Call it 102 weeks from now on episode 300. We will look back at these predictions I am going to make right now on episode 200. I have 10 predictions of world events, of Nintendo things, of gaming world things of any category ever that I think will happen before episode 300. We will save this list, and on episode 300, we will go back and we will see, did these things happen between episode 200 and 300? So, 10 predictions, some big, some small. We're going in a random order. Just put all these out there. What's going to happen? Let's talk right now, okay? Here we go. Prediction 1 that will happen by episode 300. Mario Kart World will have DLC. I think it happens in the next 102 weeks. I think it'll happen. I think in some Nintendo Direct, they're going to put out DLC, and we're going to be like, that's great. We needed that. More battle mode, more tracks, maybe even more character. Who knows? Mario Kart World will get a DLC. That I can say. All right. I think that's a safe one. Call it 1 for 1 right now, okay? Now, prediction number 2. PlayStation 6 will be released. I think it'll be out. I think it comes out next year, 2027. So by our episode 300 in 2028, it should be out by then. So there we go. Number 3, more of a world event prediction. I think from now until episode 300, I think Drake will have released 2 new albums. Yeah, that's where I stand. I think we get one early next year. Okay, we also need to say this. What do we classify as albums? Do we classify mixtapes as albums? I'm going to say yes for this sake. So if Drake releases an album next year, a full album, and then like maybe early 2028, he releases like 5 or 6 songs in what's called a mixtape, an album like sort of thing, but not a full album, kind of like a spin-off deal, that counts. So 2 new Drake projects before episode 300. And doing the math, we got I mean, if you're counting packs of like 5 songs, we got like 3 Drake projects between between 100 and 200. We got 100 gigs. We got some silly songs for you, and then, which is what I've been told to call that album. And then we have Iceman. Oh my gosh, we got 5 albums. We got Iceman, we got Maid of Honor, and we got Habibti. We got 5 Drake albums between episode 100 and 200. We can get 2 albums right before episode 200 and 300, right? All right, we'll see. Next, I think Apple, who makes the iPhone, there's been all these rumors that they're going to release these AirPods with cameras in them. Whatever that means, I think it'll happen by 2028. I think it'll happen before episode 300. So that's on my prediction list. I don't know what the camera is going to do, but I've seen so many articles. Search up AirPods with camera right now. There's all these rumors. Those will be out, I think. All right. A Nintendo Switch 2 Lite will be released. I think you want a Switch 2 Lite, and you want it ASAP. If you're Nintendo, you want to put that out ASAP. I think it comes out next year, 2027. Cool? This is a crazy one. If I get any of these wrong, guys, it'll be this one. Mr. Beast will go to the moon. Bro, I don't doubt it, man. Like, someone's got to go to the moon. And I think Mr. Beast is a good candidate. I think he will go to the moon in the next 102 weeks. So that's my prediction before 300. I think Xbox will be almost dead. I think they'll be laying off more employees. I think it'll really only be Nintendo and Sony that are the big players in the gaming market. And then also like Valve, Steam Deck, that sort of thing. I think Xbox is dying, and we just saw it with all those layoffs this week. We just saw it happen. So I think Xbox is fully dying. And when I say almost dead, they might have like a new console out or something, but I think it's going to be doing bad, like Wii U bad, like really bad. So when I say almost dead, that's what I mean. Next, my 9th prediction, a new culture-changing app will release on mobile. Now, when I say culture changing, I don't mean like a TikTok or an Instagram. I guess what I meant by that is, do you all know of this app? Last year or 2 years ago, all these people that I knew had this app. It was called, maybe 2 years ago, it was called Be Real, where at any point in the day, it would say, take a picture of your front camera and the back of your camera. Like, show where you're at and what you're doing right this second. It will just pop up. And you couldn't prep for it. And everyone loved this app because they could know exactly what their friends are doing at any given time. I thought it was weird personally. Like, if I'm podcasting, I'm not gonna, oh, guys, hold on 1 second. My Be Real is here. And I take a picture. Like, it was not for me. But it was a phenomenon. I think we'll have one more of those apps in the next 2 years that like is huge for a little while and then dies down. Quote me on that. And then finally, another Apple one. And the reason why I have so many Apple predictions is because Apple is like the biggest company of all time. Like, I mean, they are the pace, they're paving the way, is what I was trying to say, for all cell phones and all other companies. They are the golden standard. I think that they will remove one more button from the iPhone. This could be the volume buttons. This could be the power button. I think Apple will remove another button from the iPhone from now until episode 300. I think we have 2 more iPhones. If they don't do it in the next 2 iPhones, it's not going to happen. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, those are my 10 predictions. So now the fun in this, we come back on episode 300 and we see, did my predictions come true? I think I will go at least 5 for 10. I think at least 5 of these will happen. Maybe not. I think like the most safe one is probably the Switch 2 Lite, the Apple AirPods camera, and Drake releasing 2 albums. I think those are the safest ones. So we'll see. Maybe I get none right. Maybe I get 1 right. We'll see on episode 300 in 102 weeks. I mean, it's really 100 weeks if I don't miss any episodes, but that's not realistic for a functioning human. So, we'll see how it goes. But let's go ahead, folks, and get to our next segment, which is the Q&A segment of this podcast where I answer your questions you asked me. But not just that. I'm going to answer 200 questions, rapid fire style. Let's go ahead and let's get to it. My friends, it is time to answer 200 of your questions that you all asked me. If you want to ask a question to be on the podcast, it's a little bit too late to be answered on this podcast, but in the future, on episode 201, you can do these things. First of all, you can comment down below. If you see my main channel post a community post asking for questions, you can comment on that post. You can comment down below on any of our podcast episodes on YouTube or Spotify to have your question in the lottery. You can comment down below on, you can join the Discord server, link down below is what I meant to say, and join the server and go to the podcast questions channel and leave your questions in there, or you can email mariomatterquestions@gmail.com. I'm starting here. 200 questions now. Just to clarify, these will be rapid fire answers. I will not go into depth on a lot of them unless I feel I need to. These will be rapid fire. So I'm not trying to diss anybody if I answer your question in 2 seconds. It's just rapid fire Q&A segment. And also before I do that, I would like to say thank you to everybody who submitted questions because I won't have time to say all these while I'm reading them. So thank you to all who submitted. Thank you all who listen to this podcast and submit weekly. I appreciate you all. It means so much that you would want to ask me, a silly old guy, some questions. So here we go. Number 1, H. Bay asks, what is your favorite Animal Crossing game and what makes it special for you compared to the other ones? Animal Crossing New Leaf because it has Minigame Island, the soundtrack is great, and there's so much charm to it that the 3DS had that I love. Mateo, what's your favorite niche Nintendo product? Also, congrats on 200. Thank you. Favorite niche product I would say is probably, it sounds so stupid, I'd probably say the Alarmo. Cool. Next, we have Yellow Animations. What do you think is the best Mario song in the series? I would say... that's a tough one. I would say it's so classic, it's basic. But I would say... the Mario Wonder title screen or Toy Time Galaxy from Mario Galaxy. Money Throne, what is your favorite Animal Crossing game? Animal Crossing New Leaf. Here we go. Swampert, what has been your favorite Mario game? That would probably go to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. MK Fan, which Mario character should get his/her own spin-off game next? Probably, I would say... Wario has a bunch of his own games, but I want a new Wario game that is not a WarioWare. I want a brand new, like, 3D Wario adventure. I know that he has his own games. I want a new one, though. Also, do you have any video game characters on your Tomodachi Life Island? I do not have game characters. The closest thing that I have is Snoopy. But I do have celebrities like Tom Brady on there. My dad and Tom Brady were fighting the other day. Zapper asks, hey Max, congrats for getting this far on your podcast. It is definitely the #1 Nintendo podcast. Thank you. My question is, what is your favorite video game song ever? I would say, ever? Either Tomodachi Life on 3DS, the Island Day theme, the map theme, or Animal Crossing New Leaf 9 a.m. or 1 p.m. So there's 3 options. Maybe New Leaf 1 p.m. Dolphin asks, how many games have you... Sorry, let me count that. How many games have you fully completed, including DLC? Also, congrats on 200. Thank you. Fully completed, including DLC? Ooh, not many at all. Including DLC... Like completed or... So not 100%, but completed. Probably about... It sounds like so few... probably like 50, 55. Not 100%, but have just beaten the game and the DLC. Probably more, honestly. Like 60, 65 probably. Hamza, congrats on 200 episodes of the Mario Matter. I remember when you reach episode 100, time flies. What's your favorite spin-off Mario series? It could be Mario Party, Mario Kart, Paper Mario, etc. My favorite spin-off is probably going to be, I think Mario sports games, but I should be more specific. Well, no, can I say Mario Sports as a whole? If I can't, then yeah, I'll just say Mario Kart. Mario Kart is probably the answer there. GBVR asks, what is your favorite Zelda game? Favorite Zelda game, and also rate it on a scale from 1 to 10. It's a 10, because I love it so much. It's my favorite for sure. I would say Skyward Sword is great in terms of music, story, and boss fights as well. Skyward Sword. Egg Boy asks, what is your favorite Nintendo series? Animal Crossing. What is your favorite? Oh, here we go. Joey with the contradiction. What is your favorite series that is not Animal Crossing? Second would probably, as boring as it is, just be Mario. Then it would be, I'm not sure of the entire order, but Splatoon probably, and then maybe Zelda after that. All right, cool. I'm on question 12. Luigi Bros, what is your favorite and least favorite Mario game? Favorite is Mario Bros. Wonder. Least favorite is probably Mario Teaches Typing. Not a fun game to play. Henry asks, if you were to make a new Mario series, what would you base it on? I would love to make a Mario Disney Infinity style game, a Mario sandbox game where you can like just mess around as Mario characters and do whatever you want. You know, I would love that. Endless Gamer asks, what Nintendo series would you want to be adapted into a movie? Animal Crossing, and before you yell at me, I know that Animal Crossing has an animated movie. It was kind of like an animated anime style movie, but it's only in Japanese. There might be an English translation that I've watched once or twice, but I want a new Animal Crossing movie. NC Dude asks, happy 200th episode, Max. I'm glad to see the Mario Matter has been able to make it this far. For the next 3D Mario game, what do you think the next mechanic will be for Mario? And I mean, like how in Odyssey, there was Cappy and the capture mechanic. And so what do you think it would be? Either a new mechanic or Mario having his power-ups again, like in Bowser's Sphere. So the new mechanic for the next 3D Mario game, it's impossible to say, but I almost wonder if they'll take some of the Mario Wonder inspiration and make Mario like transform into like, I mean, you can reuse the elephant thing, honestly. If they wanted to make Mario turn into an elephant and like other animals, almost like Donkey Kong Bonanza transformations, I think that'd be great. But if you don't want to repeat that, because, you know, you did just do that in Bonanza, I think you could. I think vehicles would be a pretty cool change up, like Mario riding some Hot Wheels or like a big monster truck. I think vehicles could be pretty cool. Here we go. Sauda Dajani asks, what's your favorite Smash Bros. Character? I love the Mii Brawler. I'm very good with the Mii Brawler, in my opinion, so always love Mii Brawler. Ultro asks, big fan of the channel and the podcast. Thank you so much. I got a Switch 2 recently. My question is, what is your most favorite and least favorite Skylander? I would say favorite is probably kind of a deep cut. Zook. And my least favorite is, I never liked Wrecking Ball. I don't know why. I just never liked Wrecking Ball at all. I'd probably go there. Or, yeah, Wrecking Ball. I never liked Wrecking Ball. Happy 200th episode, Max. Thank you, Ryan. Here's to another 200 episodes. Who do you like better, SpongeBob SquarePants or Gary the Snail? I'd probably go SpongeBob. He's more of a joyful guy than Gary is, talking about some... Like Gary is not joyful. Alrighty. Jen Ryan asks, hi Max, my name is Charlie. Congrats on 200 episodes. Also, thanks for taking my question on the podcast. What game should I buy with my own money? Donkey Kong, Animal Crossing, Mario Odyssey, or Rhythm Heaven? I will say, out of those options, buy yourself... Animal Crossing will last you the longest, but I think out of So don't buy Rhythm Heaven. I think either Donkey Kong Bonanza or Animal Crossing New Horizons. Yep. Cool. We're at 20. Brazil. Pele Edits asks, would you rather Nintendo go back to making console and handhelds or keep the hybrid system? Definitely keep hybrid. Lucas asks, will there ever be an EmSwizzle the movie? Probably not, unless I just become this world famous megastar, which is not in the plans and will not happen. So probably not. Flash asks, would you rather play the first ever Zelda on NES or the newest version of Zelda on Switch? Definitely the newest version of Zelda. That's the best one. Riz Essentials, teach me your ways. Congrats on the milestone, Max. If you had to remaster a Zelda game, what games would be your first and last choice? So if I had to remaster a Zelda game, I would first remaster... interesting. Probably... crazy I'm saying this. Probably Link's crossbow training. That game was so fun. And then least, I don't really... I have a better answer. Zelda Spirit Tracks on DS, please, would be better. And then I do not need, I don't know. I don't need the first Zelda game remastered. It is what it was. That's fine. So there we go. Rubber Band Man asks, what is your 200th favorite video game of all time? That is hard to calculate. It's probably a game that I don't like very much. It would probably be something like Rhythm Heaven Groove, honestly, because that game didn't stand out to me a crazy amount. It would be something like that. Mihai asks, what made you decide to become a YouTuber and to make the content that you make now? I think so. What inspired me as a kid, I always loved the idea of making videos. What inspired me to do what I do now is back in March of 2020, I saw these Animal Crossing YouTubers making guides on how to play the game, and I figured I can do that. They're getting so many views. That looks so easy. I was not good at it, as you can tell by my older content on my main channel, but over time, I stuck with it and then branched out from Animal Crossing to all of Nintendo and then YouTube Shorts and then just grew from there. So it was mostly Animal Crossing. Minty Dog asks, congrats on the 200th episode. I was wondering what are some of your early predictions for a late year Nintendo Direct. I think 3D Mario will get teased, and I think that we will see... I think that we will get a big Mario Maker 3 announcement, and that after that, 3D Mario will get teased. That's my prediction. What's your favorite Mario character? Asks Andrew. Right now, I actually like the Jogger Toad. Toad. My brain's fried, guys. The Jogger Koopa Troopa. I love that running outfit Koopa. I love him. Sahanero asks, what do you think about a stylus on the Switch? And should it be built into every console? Not every console needs it. I think it'd be nice if they included it because a lot of games do use touchscreen on Switch. I shouldn't say a lot of games, here and there. It would still be a nice thing to include, though. Charity asks, if you were any Mario character, who would you be? I think I'd be, not to use him again, Koopa Troopa. He's a chill guy. He's a chill guy going about his life. I like Koopa. Toby asks, if you were to make an EmSwizzle video game, what would be some of your ideas and concepts? I think I would just like to make a platformer, honestly. I think if I ever had my own game, I wouldn't want it to be like a life simulator. I'd want it to be a platformer that has references to my life and to my channel. But that's kind of really self-centered, and I don't like the sound of that. But if I had a game, it'd be like that. Emmett asks, what is your personal favorite Wii U game? By the way, I'm a really big fan. I always watch your videos on the living room TV with me and my little brother. Thank you. Thank you for all the fun that we had. Thank you, Emmett. I appreciate it. I would say probably Splatoon or Mario 3D World. One of those two. Probably Splatoon, though. Captain Pikachu asks, what is your favorite Zelda game of all time? Zelda Skyward Sword. The Mashed Potatoes asks, favorite Animal Crossing NPC? Probably either Bruce... No. Jingle from Toy Day. Jingle. Jumpman asks, big fan of the podcast. What will be the main gimmick for the next 3D Mario? We answered this. I think vehicles will be the main gimmick. I could see that, but it's also hard to kind of predict, so who knows? SLP Sports asks, what Mario game would you play if only one for the rest of your life? I would probably play... You want one that's like infinite. Well, no you don't. I'd probably just take Mario Wonder, if I'm being honest. I'd take Mario Wonder. Lincoln Friends asks, what is your favorite Mario character? Probably Toad or Koopa? No, yeah, Toad. I think, to be exact, I think Captain Toad is great. So, Captain Toad. Bandits Baseball asks, what would be the first thing you would do if you became the head of Nintendo? I would release a Wii U Classic Edition. Next we have Bill Cook asking, is a hot dog a sandwich? A sandwich? I say no, because your everyday sandwich, like if you Google sandwich and then Google hot dog, they look too different. You can't count that. DSI asks, what is a game that you thought you would hate but loved? Honestly, Rhythm Heaven. And although I loved it, it still is not higher than like my 200th game of all time. But I did like it. I thought I'd be bored, and I was sort of bored. But it is joyful. Kellen Games asks, if you had to buy one retro console only, having a Switch 2, which one would you buy? So I can own a Switch 2 and one other console. I would own probably... I don't think Wii U would be retro, but I would own that. Is Wii retro? If it is, I would own that. So if not the Wii U, if not the Wii, I would probably own the GameCube. Call it retro. Spaghetti asks, what is your most played game? Animal Crossing New Horizons. Almost 3,000 hours. Easy. Shed asks, Switch 3 predictions. Bigger screen, looks physically different. Joy-Cons are bigger and more comfortable, and it has much more power, but still is the exact same thing at its core. Sorry, I answered a few of these. Epic Baldy Player, how did you start liking Nintendo? My siblings had a GameCube when I was born, and we would play Shrek 2. And I was not good at it, but I did play. And yeah, I was not good. But I played, and I played as Gingy, and from then, I played Luigi's Mansion. When we got a Wii, I played some Wii games, Mario Bros. Wii. I slowly fell in love with it. Lucas asks, what is a good HD trilogy idea for any of the Nintendo franchises? Make an HD Animal Crossing GameCube, Animal Crossing City Folk, and Animal Crossing New Leaf. I will love Nintendo for the rest of my life. I will pay $2,000 for that game. I am not joking. Sorry. Shuante asks, if you had to choose a favorite video game aside from Animal Crossing, what would you choose? I'd probably go with Another Code Recollection. That game is fire! Sackboy asks, what's your favorite amiibo? Either the Yarn Yoshi or the massive Detective Pikachu. Boo It's Martian asks, what do you think the best top-down Nintendo game is? Congrats on 200, by the way. I think probably one of the Zeldas. So, like, top-down as in, like Echoes of Wisdom or, like, Link's Awakening. I'd probably go Link's Awakening. Can you do, LaDuck asks, can you do a Mario Odyssey series? Like a streaming series? Probably not. I don't like to stream a whole lot. Or like show myself playing games. I like to enjoy them myself. I apologize. Frenzy Bomb. Wait, sorry, we've answered this. Main gimmick for the next 3D. Everyone wants to know what the main gimmick is for the next 3D Mario. There's like 4 of these questions. Vehicles, guys. I vote vehicles. I5Z asks, my question is, who do you think is the better Mario brother? I think Mario is the better brother. He's putting on for Luigi, you see what I'm saying? He's paving the way. Tails Play asks, which console is your favorite and what games do you mainly play on it? Wii U is my favorite, and that would be Splatoon. Well, these days, it'd be more like Nintendo Land and Wii Party U. Party games for like fun, casual people that come over that don't play games. Macho asks, "Hi Max, hope you're having a great day, and I have a question for you. If you could be a Nintendo character for a day, who would it be and why?" It'd probably be Toad, but not like the main Toad. It'd be a random Toad in the crowd just blending in. Because all those guys are so chill, and I don't want to be known. I want to be like walking around the Mushroom Kingdom all oblivious and just being a funny little Toad that gets taken care of and, is a normal guy. So I'd say Toad. GUEPC asks, would you rather live 200 years in the future or go back 200 years? You can bring any technology with you. I would like to go 200 years in the future because going 200 years back sounds scary. Official Remix asks, what was your favorite childhood Nintendo console? I was 7 when the Wii U came out. I was 6, almost 7. No. Yeah. I was 6, almost 7. Sorry for the pun. So that's childhood, right? I'd say Wii U. Joseph, what's your favorite Pokemon? If you've ever played Pokemon, it's Stantler. I don't really know why. I just like him a lot. CoolTuber asks, what would you recommend for small Nintendo creators? I would recommend that you find something that nobody else is doing and hammer away at that, because that's how I grew. No one was really doing Nintendo YouTube Shorts, or not consistently, at least, when I started. Ricardo asks, if buying is not owning... Sorry, this is not a question. Then piracy is not stealing. All right. Ghost Goated asks, did you have a story along the way, or did it just go boom in your head? I don't understand. What happened to my questions, guys? Here we go. The First Me asks, what was the first me that you created? Is your username for this question? I don't think so. Interesting. The first me that I ever made was of myself. It was basically just the default me, but like I changed the hair or something. The PVZ Gamer asks, what is your favorite all-time Nintendo controller? Probably, and it sounds terrible to say, but like the Switch 2 Pro Controller is just buttery smooth. I vote for that. Can of Dr. Pepper asks, when will the next 3D Mario come out? I think it'll come out 2028. And also, what is the next Nintendo console? I think it'll be similar to a Switch 3, but it won't be called Switch. It'll be called something different. Tech Andre asks, when is Bowser getting his own game? If you don't count something like Bowser's Fury or any of that, I think Bowser gets his own 3D adventure sometime in the next decade. Ellipse Cat asks, what game are you most hyped for next year? Probably right now, because we have like not a lot confirmed, Pokemon Winds and Waves. Bonanza Brick, when do you think the next 3D Mario game will come out? 2028. Oh, sorry, we answered that. I won't count it. Raccoon asks, what is your least favorite Switch game that you have played? Probably Advent Calendar for the Switch. Cyrus asks, would you be happy if Nintendo actually made a Mii game collection for Switch and Switch 2? So do you mean like Wii Sports Resort, like the Mii games, like Wii Party and all that? If that's what you mean, I'd be over the moon. I would take it. BT Gaming, what kind of Mario game do you want to see next? I would like to see 3D Mario. It's about time. Aside from that, though, give me a Mario baseball game or a basketball game. Mitch asks, do you think Nintendo would still be popular if they didn't make game consoles but only made toys? Yes, but not nearly as popular, of course. PA8 Productions asks, is it worth getting the Animal Crossing themed Switch or getting a normal Switch and the Animal Crossing Joy-Cons and the dock? If you're going to buy both of those Joy-Cons and dock, just buy the Animal Crossing Switch. Teo asks, how do you brick your Switch? If you do mods on your Switch and you download the wrong mod, it'll get bricked and then you cannot use it anymore. Daisy asks, what is your rarest Nintendo item? Wow, I can say this now. It's probably, I have a complete in-box SNES. And congrats to you. You were the 67th question. 6-7. Henry asks, can you do a series when you beat all 1, 2, 3, and 4 Pikmin games? No, but I have a playthrough, a live streamed playthrough, all of Pikmin 3 on my main channel. You'll have to scroll a little bit on the live section, but you can find it. Speedrun asks, would you rather a new 3D Mario or a new 3D Zelda? That's tough. I go Mario, though. Caden asks, why are you so awesome? Thank you, Caden. You're the best. But anyway, what's your favorite Metroid game? I've not played too many, but probably Metroid Prime Remastered, the first one. Alan asks, if you had to use one Nintendo console for 1 year, what would it be? Wii U, easily, because it has so much backwards compatibility. Build Volume asks, do you think the Switch 2 will go up in price again? After it goes to $500? No, I think it's done. Hammer asks, have you ever played Undertale / Deltarune? If not, they are peak. I have not played those games, actually. I get so much flack from people like C.com and my brother for not playing those games. I've not played them before. Sunburnt asks, have you ever played a Monster Jam video game? I have not. And then they ask, if not, which one looks like it would be your favorite? I have never... Monster Jam video game? I have not even heard of these. I see Monster Jam Showdown for Switch right now. Give me that one. That one looks pretty cool. What is your favorite Nintendo item that you have? That comes from Super Gaming Vibes. Max. Probably either my Ballborb plush, which is so funny because it's not rare or anything, or my Wii U because it's the one that we got my family for Christmas. It's the exact same one, so it has a lot of sentimental value. Tentration asks, what was your first Nintendo console? It was the GameCube. Musolotl asks, how would you make the Switch home screen look more appealing? I would add music. Music would do you a lot. And I would bring back Miiverse, the social media platform, and have people be able to say things online and have it show up on your home menu. Ollie asks, when do you think the next Tomodachi Life is coming out? Probably it will come out because it's so big now. I say 2033. Eduardo, would you recommend the Wii U in 2026? Yes, because it has so much backwards compatibility all the way down to NES, and there are a ton of great games for it and fun games that use the gamepad too. Boxy asks, should Fox McCloud and Decidui get married in my Tomodachi Life Island? Yes. Jason asks, what is the biggest flaw with the Switch 2? I think probably the battery life, in my opinion. Jack asks, what do you think is more likely next for Mario? 3D game, 2D game, Paper Mario game, or spinoff? Probably it's time for 3D, but maybe Mario Maker next. Kitsu asks, why is Nintendo called Nintendo? Where did they get the idea for the Wii? I don't know why it's called Nintendo. There might be a reason behind that. I think I looked up one time. What does Nintendo mean? Let's learn this. Yeah, here we go. I knew this because I used to research it back when I made Nintendo YouTube Shorts. Nintendo is commonly translated as leave luck to heaven in Japanese. I knew that. I knew that it meant something like that. So yeah, maybe they like that. And then the idea for the Wii probably came from the GameCube doing so bad that they needed to change things up, and they introduced motion controls. So kudos to them. JS Animations, have you ever found any bugs in DS games? I have not. I have more so found bugs in Switch games. Not Nintendo games, but Switch games made by third parties. We're at 84 questions right now. Chaotic Blaze asks, favorite Sonic the Hedgehog game? Probably Sonic Colors. Yeah, easy. Immortal Logan asks, what got you into gaming in the first place? Yeah, I mean, just being born into it and having the people around, in my circle, in my family play it, and also kids at school, we would all game together. That one kid asks, what would you pick? A Switch accessory or a Switch 2 accessory? Switch 2. I cannot read this name. It is in a different language. Who is your favorite Pokemon? Stantler. Reagan Bricks asks, hey Max, I'm one of your biggest fans ever, and I want to be just like you. Thank you. But my question is, what is your favorite activity to do in Animal Crossing New Horizons and New Leaf? New Horizons, probably just decorate the island because there are so many opportunities, and then in New Leaf, probably go to Tortimer Island and play all the minigames over there and catch some fish and bugs. The Meadow, rank all the Animal Crossings. At the bottom is Wild World. These are all mainline games. Bottom, Wild World. 4 GameCube, 3 City Folk, 2 New Horizons, 1 New Leaf. There we go. Electrical asks, would you rather play Animal Crossing for the rest of your life or play Smash Bros for the rest of your life? Animal Crossing. MJ Not Much Aura, is Super Mario 64 really the greatest Mario game ever made? I would say, in my opinion, for its time, yeah, but nowadays, like, I didn't grow up with it. I say no. Andrew asks, well, sorry, this is also the gimmick for Mario question. Vehicles. I won't count that one. Zgon Zoogle asks, well, sorry, I'm trying to find questions that are not repeats, but I could not, like, pre-select 200 questions, so do bear with me. Do you think we will get a brand new Mario Kart 9 or 10 in the future if Mario Kart World is not Mario Kart 9? I think Mario Karts being numbered are done. I think that they'll just keep getting, like, different names. My Badcraft asks, my question is, what do you do in your free time? Include clips, it says. I'm not sure about all that. My free time these days looks like going to the gym, hanging out with family, having a good time, just like relaxing, playing games, but not like sometimes my family will come over and, like, we'll play a board game or, like, just hang out and talk to people. I'm at this point in my life where I'm, like, doing more real life things. So, what do you think Nintendo will release? Switch OLED or something else? That comes from Saga Animatrix. I think they will release. Do you mean Switch 2 OLED? I think first up they'll release a Switch 2 Lite. The Real Waylon asks, when did you start the podcast? I started this podcast in June of 2022. It has grown ever since. Mario Star asks, thoughts on Earthbound or the Mother series? I don't have many. I have not played the games, but I've heard great things. Mario asks, the Mario, I'm kidding. Will we get a new 3D Mario game for Mario's 41st anniversary? I mean, yeah, but I don't think it'll, like, really. I think if he had his 41st anniversary or not, it would still happen on his 41st. Jason asks, what do you think about Winds and Waves releasing next year? I'm excited. I can't wait. I think it'll be one of the best Pokemon games of this current generation. So I think they're coming out swinging. Cherry asks, been watching the podcast for about 3 years now. Crazy. Did you ever expect the podcast to get this far? That's a good question. I'd say I did, honestly, and that sounds terrible because, like, most people would be like, I never thought it would get this far. I did. I know how much work I put into it and how much work I put into my other content, and just, yeah, like the hours I've put in, and I like doing this podcast because I get better each time, and it's a great skill to have to be able to, like, public speak in a way. So, yeah, I did expect it. Yeah, as cocky as that sounds and as terrible as it sounds, I did imagine it would grow. And not that it's like some massive worldwide podcast, but it's like I knew that it would grow up until this point. 30,000 YouTube subscribers, which I'm so grateful for. And then also Spotify as well, thriving. I'm so happy. Thank you all. Benson asks, hello, I'm thinking of getting a 3DS. What games should I get with it? Sonic or Mario? Get Mario Kart. You don't need that. Get Animal Crossing New Leaf and get Pokemon X. Yoshi asks, the Yoshi, what are your thoughts on the Yoshi's Island game for the SNES? Solid, but could have been better. Real Ducky asks, how do you make multiple characters of yourself in your skits? I had somebody ask me recently, is it really you in those skits, or is it like 4 different people? Sorry, I was gonna make a joke. I want to save that. So you just film different clips of yourself. So I'll put on outfit 1, film all of my scripted lines for that character, then put on outfit 2, and move the camera and do all my scripted lines for that character, mash them together, you have a skit. Grandmaster asks, if you woke up tomorrow as the CEO of Nintendo and you have the money, but all the progress and characters they have been building up have disappeared from existence, what would you do? Wait, hold on. Oh, make your dream console and dream game. Okay, no inspiration, no nothing. I would say I would make... well, when you say no inspiration, everything that everyone does on planet Earth is inspired by something. So I feel like I'm going in there as like a bag of milk. Like, just like... me don't know how to make game console. I feel like that's tough, because my dream console would be like something as charming as the Wii U, but as powerful as a PlayStation. That's my dream. And then dream game would probably be a resurrected Disney Infinity. Electronics Guy asked, congrats, Max. What do you want to see in the next Animal Crossing New Horizons update or next Animal Crossing game? I want to see more things to do in multiplayer. All you can do in multiplayer right now is like nothing. Is look at each other. That's really all you can do. I need more multiplayer. Crazy asks, do you think they could add more consoles to Nintendo Classics? If so, what new games and consoles? I think DS should be next. Kieran asks, how long have you been a Nintendo fan? All my life, so since I was 0, basically. Call it 20 years almost. Grace asks, here, are the other characters in your shorts different people, or are you dressed up? I can't say. I can't give you a yes or no. I don't know. I'm kidding. The Luigi Matter. Do you think Nintendo will go digital only like Sony? Eventually, but not until one generation later. King asks, hi Max, biggest fan by the way, thank you. If you could guess, what is the next 3D Zelda? Probably 2032. Tio's World, do you think Cappy will return in the next 3D Mario? Probably not. Noob asks, do you think Black Yoshi needs to be in more than like one Switch game? I think you should have all color Yoshis in all the Nintendo games. Why not? Trotsky asks, if they made a new Mario game, what Mario game would you want? I think it's got to be 3D Mario. I mean, I think Mario Maker has a better chance of coming first, maybe, because it's just been so long, and that's like a layup game to keep us held down for a little longer. But I think I would want a 3D Mario the most. What are your thoughts on gaming and how it's slowly becoming more expensive? And follow-up, do you think it'll ever be cheap again? That comes from Mr. Dr. Dudesy. Nice. I think, number one, I don't like that it's becoming more expensive. It makes me want to buy less games. And do I think that it'll ever be cheap again? No. Because once one company goes up, like PlayStation, and someone like Nintendo sees they can get away with it, then they'll also go up. No one's going to go down if they can charge higher prices. Nathan asks, thoughts on modding a Wii U or 3DS or consoles like that? I think it's a great idea to mod consoles that are not currently in rotation. Mod your Switch 1s now, as long as they're not linked to your Switch 2. Mod your Wii U, your 3DS. Why not? It's a great time. As long as they're not like the current console, because then it's kind of risky a little bit. Alan asks, when will there be a game with all the Pokemon in it? Probably never, LOL. If any game, winds and waves, you never know, you never know. Protein Shake asks, do you think Mario Kart World will ever get paid DLC? I think yes. I think next year. Dylan asks, what third-party games that have not been announced to come to Switch 2 do you want to see come to the console? Probably nothing major right now. I think it would more so be like older games being revived. Give me Skylanders. Mario asks, what Switch Online retro games do I need to play in your opinion? Mario 64, if you have not yet. Let's keep going. We're at 125, guys. Would you recommend getting a DSi in 2026? That comes from GamerGuy1127. Get a 3DS, because then you can play double the amount of games. So get that, and you can play DS games. Jabba Bright asks, do you think Nintendo is going to make new games for like Punch-Out or F-Zero, similar to what they did with Star Fox? Punch-Out, maybe. F-Zero, no. That's where I stand. Pixel Picto asks, Donkey Kong 64 remake happening? I say probably not. Mr. Guy asks, what year did you get any type of Nintendo console? Slow down, Max. I think probably, so I was born in 06. I think we had a GameCube in 2000. Well, yeah, we probably got it in 2006, and then I could play it in like 2009. Not well, but I could play it, you know. Animator asks, have you ever tried modding Wii games like Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort? Yes, when I did a short where I boxed Mr. Beast in Wii Sports, that was a modded Wii Sports. Yes. I did it myself too. Pretty proud of it. Ralph Walker asks, sorry, never mind, that's unrelated. Doing the Tough asks, have you played Hollow Knight? What's your opinion on it? I have not, and everyone gives me flack for that. I'm just in my own Nintendo world. I'm sorry. Nosnik asks, how did you get interested in Nintendo? I was born into it. Susan asks, hey, this is Gus. Oh, it's Gus. I've been listening to your show for more than a year now, and I love doing it after school or after camp. Cool. Do you think they're going to have another big holiday game? And if so, which one do you think it'll be? This year's holiday game, I think, is all set. You have Switch Sports. I think that's your holiday title. And Ocarina of Time. One multiplayer, one solo. That's your holiday shebang. Frass loves the Wii mods. Asks, what's your most hated Wii U game? I think, like Star Fox Guard is not very good. Favorite Nintendo Switch model that comes from Durdor? Probably the Switch OLED, if not the Switch 2. I assume that you're saying like Switch 1, so Switch OLED. Favorite rally in Mario Kart World? That's from Myas. I forget. It's been so long. Honestly, I can't even answer that. I'm so sorry. I forget like what they're all called. Pizza Ezra asks, when do you think Luigi's Mansion 4 is coming out? Probably 2028. That's kind of long, but yeah, 28. Zanmaster, when is Smash 6 coming out? Probably. That's a long one. Well, probably 2020. That's also 2028, I bet. Favorite Paper Mario game? Probably Thousand Year Door. That comes from Mr. Doughboy. Ikmalki, if you had all of your Nintendo games removed and you had $200 episode number, what games would you get? I would buy Animal Crossing New Leaf, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and Animal Crossing City Folk. Whatever I had left over, I put it towards the next Animal Crossing game. I'm serious. Miguel asks, what DS game and Game Boy Advance game would you recommend me? DS game? New Super Mario Bros. DS. Game Boy Advance game? Probably... tough. Probably Mario Party Advance. Do you think that they'll still make games, Nintendo, after 2028? That comes from Think Gaming. Yes, I do. I think they will stop making physical games at some point, but they'll be behind. Team Large Logan asks, sorry, that's a repeat. I'm sorry. Why is Blue Toad hidden in Mario Bros. U? Guess he wanted to hide a little bit. He was not with the spotlight. Is it worth just having the Xbox and the PlayStation and no Nintendo? That comes from Norsey Barat. No, you want some sort of Nintendo in the mix. You don't want a PS6 and an Xbox because like they do the same thing. You want one of those and a Switch, or a PC and a Switch. Clyde asks, who is your favorite Pokemon? Stantler. I think we answered that. I will not count that. Least favorite Nintendo franchise, Xenoblade or Fire Emblem. That's from Brick by Brick. Yazen asks, favorite third-party game on 3DS? I would say... I didn't play a lot of third-party games. Maybe just like Skylanders, Giants probably was great. Eno asks, my question is, if Donkey Kong ate a burger, will Mario jump into space with a stop sign? That is a crazy scenario. I would say he just might. He just might. What was the best time of your life? That question comes from Super Nintendo player. Wow. Probably when I was at Disney World when I was 6. Brilliant. Octo asks, did you do any jobs before YouTube? I did not. I lucked out and lucked out and worked hard enough to where YouTube could be my first ever job. And it has been since. Aiden asks, do you think that Nintendo is being a little bit too strict of copyright these days? Yeah, just a little bit too strict. They can chillax a little bit. Like they have the ninjas, man. Steven asks, congrats on 200, Max. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I was wondering, what should the next Nintendo console be called? Probably the Nintendo... The Nintendo... I'm thinking. Probably the Nintendo Focus, like that old rumored Switch 2 console. King Firewolf asks, do you think they will make a Switch 3? I think it'll look like a Switch 3, but it'll be called something different. Would you recommend me buying a N64 in 2026? That comes from Ahmed. I would say no, just pay for Switch Online, and if a game that you want is not on there, emulate it. Beanie Boy asks, why are there no power-ups in Mario Odyssey? Someone replied to him and said, because Cappy is the power-up. Yeah, I think once you have a gimmick like that, you don't really need a new power-up, so that's probably why. Vinny, do you actually like playing playing Donkey Kong games? Yeah. There's some that I like less than others, but overall, I enjoy. Bonanza was great. Donkey Kong Country Returns, Tropical Freeze, all great games. Alexandra, if you could port any Nintendo game on any platform, what would it be? Bring Animal Crossing New Leaf to Switch. Thank you very much. Player character asks, favorite Splatoon weapon? The Sploosh-O-Matic. I love it. TFZ Tuber, is it worth it to get a 2DS? I think you should buy a Japanese 3DS and mod it so that you can use it in English. That is the best way to go. It's cheaper, and it's like the exact same thing. Bobby asks, worst Mario game ever made? Probably Mario Teaches Typing or, what's the other one? What's the history one called? The one where like Mario goes through those history here, Mario history game. Mario's Time Machine. Thank you. I don't love that one. Here we go. Antonio, why does Mario and Luigi act like Yoshis? Or why do Yoshis almost act normal? What does this mean? I think they all act pretty normal. I think Yoshi's a fine fella. Normal guy. Here we go. Bali asks, what is your favorite GTA game out of the whole franchise, and are you buying GTA 6? I have never really played a GTA game apart from bits and pieces of GTA 5. I will buy GTA 6 because it's like the most highly anticipated game of all time, but I couldn't give you a pretty good answer. So call it GTA 5 for now. Has asks, do you think that Nintendo will ever move on from Mario? No way. Never. Not possible. Couldn't happen. He's way too big. Favorite mods of New Super Mario Bros. Wii and U for Wii U. That comes from Mr. Eddie Foot Gamer. My favorite mods are probably, I like newer Super Mario Bros. U. That is a common, popular Mario Bros. Wii mod. I like it. Nishad asks, Max, it's been a long time coming. Congrats for making it this far. I wanted to ask, what area do you think you have improved in most since episode 1? Congrats, and I hope for another 200 to come in the future. Thank you. I've probably improved the most in like being able to talk on the fly. It used to be so hard for me back then to like hold a conversation and know what to say at all times. I think now I can talk freely about anything that I have like some knowledge on. I was always told it's a skill if you can just like look into a camera and just talk about whatever and like always know where to go. Like I can talk about Nintendo or any topic that I'm somewhat familiar with for 10 hours because what my brain has gotten better at is talking about, I don't know, the new Pokemon Lego set, right? I can talk about that for 1 hour straight. I'm not joking. Because your brain can keep like going in layers. So the first layer is the Pokemon Lego set. Then layer 2 is like previous Lego sets from Pokemon. Talk about those. Then talk about how it relates to your personal experience. Then talk about how it relates to Pokemon games. I have gotten better at like making layers in my head to like always have something to say next. You know, I've gotten better at that. Great question. Watif asks, would you have Mii's on Mario Kart World if it was up to you? I would, yes. I'm not sure why they're not even in there. That's so weird. How long do you want to make Nintendo content? That comes from the Mel Weezy. Until I outgrow it. Until there becomes a day where I take a stab at like PlayStation or something like that, and then I would become like an all gaming YouTuber covering all video games. Will that happen? I don't know. So I'll stay with Nintendo until they die. Mega King asks, do you like hamburgers or tacos more? Give me hamburgers. WVG Hunter, if you could own one piece of Nintendo history, what would you like to own? I would like to own their first ever video game ever. It's called EVR Race. It is a lost Nintendo video game. I would love to own that. The Gaming Warrior, do you like replaying Mario games after finishing them? Not really. I'm kind of like a one and done sort of guy. Panbone asks for your daily routine. It depends on the workday, but on a day like today, wake up, cold shower, get ready. I do all of that brush teeth, like morning routine part in like 15 minutes. It's crazy. Not even, honestly, less than that. And after morning, I'll get my protein shake. I will do some work. I will get lunch. I have an early lunch around like 10 a.m. So weird, but I eat 2 big meals per day. So one's at 10 a.m., one's around 6 p.m. So I'll get my lunch, back to work until 5 or so, maybe 5:30, dinner around 5:30 or 6, go to the gym, and then come back home and hang with family or do whatever. It's basically it almost every day. Will you do a video that does not have Nintendo in it? I feel like we've done a few in the past. Hard to even tell you what though, but I've definitely made some like PlayStation focused stuff in the past. Once again, I apologize for not being able to like point you to what it is. I know I've done that before. I know that we've done that. So it was probably forever ago, but I know we had to have done that. Tommy asks, thoughts on the next Nintendo console? I'm excited to see what they do with it because what do you do? Your Switch model works, but you can't do a Switch 3, can you? Like it's kind of lame, you know? Samuel asks, is Tears of the Kingdom Zelda good? Yes, it is. Waffle asks, thoughts on a new Smash Bros. Game? I would love it as long as they just make sure to improve it. Because, like, there's rumors of them taking out characters from Smash Ultimate. Come on, leave them all in there. Why not? Just add more, you know? Who is the fastest Nintendo character in your opinion? That comes from Luke. It's got to be Sonic, right? I'm kidding. He's not Nintendo. Guys, come on. Probably Pikachu. What do you think will happen to Nintendo in the year 3000? They will all be floating. All of the Nintendo consoles that we know today will be extinct. And they will make these glasses that you wear where you can play games whenever you want. And they will make days longer than 24 hours. That's my prediction. Router asks, how much money have you spent on every console and game ever? That's impossible to know. I'm going to modify your question to most money spent on one game or console, and that would probably be when I bought 2 Switch 2s on launch night. That was like, what, $500 each because they had Mario. So $1,000 on launch night for a Switch 2 because we need 1 Switch 2 for myself, and I need 1 to like do stunts with. So it's a business expense. It's for business. So I needed 2. So that's like the most in one blow. The Loki man, favorite non Nintendo game not on Switch, probably Club Penguin. Can't even lie. The Disaster YT asks, what will you do if they actually make the Mario Sues Luigi game? I would cry, and I would buy it, for sure. Gregory asks, how has Nintendo not sued you yet? Probably because I've not broken any laws, or copyright laws. But I wouldn't be shocked if they did. They always got something they can sue me for, or sue people for. Ahmed asks, what will be the next Mario sports game? Probably Mario. We have tennis. Probably golf. I'd say golf. Favorite Mario Party game that comes from Diptimoni. I would say Mario Party. I think just Jamboree. It's just the best and newest one. So I say Jamboree. Bartasik asks, hi Max, question is, what is your favorite third-party game for Switch 2? Thank you for answering and have a great day. Favorite third-party Switch 2 game, I think right now is going to be... that's tough. I don't play many. Fantasy Life. It's a girl who steals time. Amazing. The Hippo Boy. New characters that you want in Smash Bros. 6. Give me Tom Nook. Give me a Splatoon Squid. And give me Captain Toad. Those 3. Jose asks, what are your modding skills on consoles? I can follow tutorials from point A to point B, like in terms of modding my Wii or something like that, but I don't know if I have skills. Like, I definitely cannot open up a console and like hard, what's it called? Like hard mod? Is that what it's called? Like the physical stuff and like solder it in there. I cannot do any of that. But in terms of like SD cards and popping them in and out, I can do that for sure. Freddie asks, why do you think that Nintendo did not port Nintendo Land to the Switch? Probably because it used the gamepad and it just was too hard to port over. You'd have to change the entire game. Do you want the Michael Jackson experience to be on Switch 2? I can take it or leave it. I have it on the Xbox 360, so I'm fine with it being on there. Dylan asks, what is the best thing that happened to you and why? Do you want to know? Going back to that question where they asked me if I had any previous jobs. When I was 15, I applied to work at Target. And they said I was too young, rightfully so. That's the best thing that happened. Because if they accepted me, I might still be working there. And I'm not saying that Target's a bad job. It's a great job. I'm just saying, like, my YouTube thing took off because I was denied and I put more time into it. So that was great. That was great. Real Stingby, do you still play GameCube games? Here and there. Animal Crossing for sure. Some of the Disney sports games, Backyard Football, those sorts of games. So like one Nintendo game and then shovelware. Favorite burger. I don't know what they're called. Like how to identify them to you, but like Costco sells these burger patties that, you know, I've been to people's houses and they make these burger patties, or like my dad will throw some on the grill. Like if you buy these burger patties from Costco, I don't know how to describe them. Oh, that's the best burger ever. If you mean fast food, I've not had it in forever, like maybe 6 years. Because I just try not to eat fast food. But, like, Wendy's always murdered it. Like, they made great burgers. So, give me Wendy's. But I've not had it in forever. Is ARMS a good fighting game? I would say it's no. No, it's kind of mid. Here's an interesting one. Sickness asks, my question is, in your skits, why do you not say the Switch 2? Instead, you say, you brought Switch 2? I said that? I thought I said, you brought your Nintendo Switch 2 to the pool? No, I definitely said that. Don't twist my words unless I'm misremembering. I think when I script, I always make sure to say, you have your Nintendo Switch, all 3 words. You have your Nintendo Switch 2 at the movies? Like, I think I say your Nintendo Switch 2. I could be wrong, but I think that's right. We have a few more questions, folks. What game are you most looking forward to right now? Probably Switch Sports Resort, even though I'm not too excited for that just yet. How much can you bench from Tekken Toys? Last time I tried... So I don't bench anymore because... It's bad for my joints. Everyone that I know who does bench press consistently is like, oh, my shoulder. I'm like, I need to not bench so I can avoid these injuries. So I just do chest press machines. Last time that I benched, though, my max was 225. I was a lot smaller than I am now. I imagine if I tried to bench now, it'd be higher than that, but all I can say right now for certain is 225 for 1 rep. That's the most. That was like 3 years ago, though. I'd like to say I can do a little bit more now, but I have not tried, so I cannot say that. Peter asks, what would you think about a 3D Mario that has the same art style as Mario Wonder, or is there another art style that you'd rather? I think I would like it if it was in the Mario Wonder style. It looks great, and I have always loved how cutesy it is and how charming it is. I like it. I am Chill Bro, who has a Sonic profile picture, asks, why is Sonic so much better than Mario? Why you lying? I'm just kidding. I like Sonic too. I think Mario is a little better because the company behind each one of those characters, the one behind the guy in the red hat is a little sharper. Sega, I'm not always a fan of. Let's air this out on episode. Definitely not a fan of working with their sponsorship team. But hey, it's all fun and games. Cammy asks, does Nintendo actually produce games? Yes, they do. I'm kidding. I will not count that as a question. Omar asks, do you think it's better if Nintendo starts making more mobile games? I think, yeah, you can only get more exposure that way, so I think yes. 130B asks, hello, EmSwizzle. Do you ever plan on quitting and doing something else in the upcoming 10 years? Upcoming 10 years, no. I think at some point I will retire. When it will be, I'm not sure, but at some point. Robotnik fan, who is a better singer, Drake or Michael Jackson? My vote is Michael Jackson. As you read this today, it'll also be my birthday. Awesome. Happy birthday to you. Okay, like, is Michael Jackson actually the better singer? Yeah, okay, sure. But, like, Drake, I have to back Drake. So Drake's the better singer. I'm going to sit here and stand on that. I'm going to say that. If you don't believe me, listen to Gen 5 by Drake on his new album called Habibti. And skip to, like, the midway point. Sure, his auto-tune is cranked. His auto-tune is cranked to 9,000. Oh, but it's so great. All right, guys, we have 2 more questions. And by the way, I think I went over 200. I missed counting some of them. But, yeah, so over 200 questions. Cool. All right, cool. Here we go. Max, what is the worst Animal Crossing game and why? Animal Crossing Wild World, because it is a worse version of Animal Crossing City Folk. And I hate saying that because Wild World came out before City Folk, so, like, for its time, it was good. Looking back today, it's a worse version of City Folk. Why would you play it? And it also left out so many crucial features like holidays and things like that, so I don't like it. Who's going to be the final question? Oh, this is a good one. Everyone asks me this. Reese asks, why do you always end all of your sentences in an exclamation mark? I think it's so much happier. Like, so imagine a world where you say to somebody, I hope you have a good day, with a period. All right, like, that's nice of you to say. Or how about, I hope you have a good day, with an exclamation. You are instantly a nicer person. That's how I look at it. I feel nice when I do that. So I like ending everything in an exclamation mark. I do it all the time, everywhere, anywhere. I love doing it to anybody. Like, if I look at my text right now, with my dad, for example. All right. Okay, so I'm 2 for 2. My last 4. Okay, so like my last 10 messages, 8 of them end in exclamation mark. The other 2 don't end in any punctuation. Like, I am an exclamation mark guy. I like it a lot. So it adds fun. So I like it. Folks, those are 200 Mario Matter questions, and thank you all very much for listening to the episode 200 of your favorite Nintendo podcast, the Mario Matter, episode 200. Hopefully this show did this podcast and all that we have done justice. And I want to send a sincere thank you to all of you for always tuning in week after week, or maybe today is your first time tuning in. Thank you for tuning in and making it to the end of this podcast. I seriously appreciate it. It is not easy. If you sat through all 3 hours of this, or however long it comes out to be in the final version, thank you so much. I mean, I can't thank you enough. It'll probably be just under 3 hours or so. So, I mean, I'm not worried about time. I'm just, if you sat through all this podcast, thank you. Comment down below the word. Just comment 200 and then I'll know. But you all are the best. I will admit, guys, I am really bad with my phone. And what I mean by that is Like, if someone texts me, I'm bad at replying unless you're like a family member. I'm just bad. I'm bad at liking all my YouTube comments, but I hope that you know I go through and I read Mario Matter comments week after week. The reason I'm just lazy, guys, I don't like heart every comment is because most of the time I read them on my EmSwizzle account and I can't heart them. But just know, please, I read like almost every comment week after week. So I definitely see them. And I appreciate everyone who comments. And I appreciate everybody who watches week after week. Or as I said earlier, maybe today is your first time. I hope that you will stick with us in the future because it's only up from here. And I appreciate all of your support throughout the 4 years of this podcast. Whenever you started listening, maybe it was episode 1, maybe it was episode 97, like who knows. But I appreciate it all so much. It means so much to me that you all will listen to me ramble for over an hour. Today, in this case, almost 3 hours. So it means so much. And I appreciate you all so much. Here's to episode 300 in the next couple of years, folks. But I'll be back business as usual next week for episode 201. I will see you all then. We have a lot of cool things to discuss. Have a great one. Thank you for joining me on this memorable day. I'll see you all next week for even more Nintendo goodness. Adios.